All right, so. Well, I guess Doug's not gonna make it today.
He's out of town,
Yeah,
yeah.
so let's go ahead and start with 1080 special appropriations and that W cap transportation. And Waldo County Firefighters Association, so. We have Waldo cap here. Or I'm gonna check.
No,
So,
no. Not yet, put it that way.
well, they asked for 5,000. I think they asked for last year too.
Yeah, we've had 2 years of very serious conversations.
Yeah. I mean, we're sitting on a $6 million increase in our budget, so. Sure.
So I sort of have a hard time with their request because obviously they are a taxpayer funded nonprofit. And so they're already getting tax dollars from residents or from federal. I'm not sure if they get any state programs. They already come to every town within the county asking us for money. Probably they also get additional money from each town who belongs to a school district in which they have the free pre-K. Not only do they get those services, but within our school budget. I know that our district this year received an increase for that. So I think that they're getting a lot of tax dollars, from multiple sourcing for the same services that are provided. I like to think of them as sort of a handler of our tax dollars, and so I think that they're already getting compensated from taxpayers a lot.
Mary?
I'd like to hear from the commissioners since their numbers are dramatically different.
Kevin?
No, it's just waving at Tim.
Mary would like to hear from the commissioners about W cap.
Your numbers are higher than the ask.
So I'll be frank, I put that motion on the table. In the concerns, I've worked on the for-profit side and nonprofit side and written hundreds of grants. And so, and grants upwards over $1 million. And so my success rate on grants was 95%. I wouldn't touch anything less than 50,000. The concern I have with Waldo Cap is yes, they do receive multiple funding sources. I've looked at the 990s. But my concern is the grants are getting cut, and especially in healthcare and the social service aspect of it. And Waldo Cap delivers a great service on the transportation end of it. A lot of their patients, patrons, they're getting transported for cancer care, for dialysis. And I have a concern if that goes away, what happens for those people, the constituents in our communities.
So we don't know that it is going away, but you suspect
It's boy, I'll tell you what, it is
pointing in that
the
direction.
funding streams. Like if you look at Penobscot Community Health Center, and I used to be the chief operating officer of PCHC back in the early 2000s, and we expanded very rapidly. So, I know the federally qualified healthcare center side of this pretty well, and especially Waldo Cap. I've worked with those type of organizations for decades. And that's my concern. Understandably, they're always stretching the bucks. Nonprofits are always trying to figure out how to game the system, how to provide the services. It's the mission's great. And so that's my pitch.
I guess I would also point out what always causes me to stop and ponder this is
Sure.
I know that their key top employees in a county that averages yearly income of 38 to 42,000. Have you looked at what their CEO for Waldo County, so not for the whole state, just for Waldo County makes?
What is it now?
Well, as of 23, it was 156,000 with an additional 24,000 for other.
For other, yeah, sure.
And then we have 115 and 106. And so I guess I'm probably always a little bit of a stickler
I
when
understood.
we're
Robert.
we're
And the total
paying
budget?
nonprofits with taxpayer money,
Yeah.
and we're paying. And
What's their total budget?
I do not
I wanna say
know.
it's either
23.
14 or 18 million.
Mhm.
Huge.
Yeah, I can say
Yeah.
it, being still doing consulting, that CEO rate's low.
Except we're a nonprofit with taxpayer
I understood.
money, not a nonprofit that's not taxpayer
I've
money.
done so many salary surveys on CEO positions, it's for nonprofits and the, their total budget, it's on the low side. But that's just my opinion. So that's my input.
Any other comments on? Yeah.
Well, I agree wholeheartedly that the CEO compensation is ludicrous in our country. Because nobody's worth thousands more than what their lowest paid worker in their company is. But I do see so much grant funding drying up all over the place that yes, we have $6 million, but I certainly would want to give them what they're asking. And I'm kind of half inclined to go along with what the commissioners are doing, just because of the fact that I do think they're going to lose funding that was otherwise expected this year. The one question I have, and maybe I'm reading it wrong, but I thought that they specifically were asking about getting money for transportation, but I don't see any transportation with donor restrictions listed on page 5 in the packet. It looks like transportation is totally non-restricted. So how are we going to give money for Waldo Cap transportation, and yet it's not restricted? Or is this new this year that we would be restricting it to transportation?
Good question.
Can I answer that?
We have a representative.
Sorry for being late, first of all. Our ask is not specifically for transportation. It is for non-restricted funds. We use the money that we bring in from our municipal campaign to help us bring in additional federal funding. So it's often used as match for federal grants. And sometimes that means that it'll go to transportation because that tends to be one of our underfunded resources. But it also could go to our Head Start match or our any federal grant that we bring in that requires the matching funds, we might end up using this money for. So the money that we collect from unrestricted funds, we use it for 2 different purposes. One is for match. The other is to give us flexibility when there are programs that are underfunded. And right now we're seeing more of that than ever before.
And what's your sense, what's your sense on the federal grants? You think those are gonna go away?
I'm hoping that they're not gonna go away. But we are already seeing reductions. So we're already having some cuts. And then, of course, with the federal shutdown, which is a whole nother beast, we are looking at a severe increase in our demand. So people will be coming to us more than ever before, because in November, we're not expecting anybody to receive SNAP benefits. We serve over 6,000 people in Waldo County. Every single person we serve in Waldo County is eligible for SNAP. That doesn't mean they receive them, but they're eligible for it because they all fall within the right income guidelines. What that means for us is that people are going to be more food insecure than ever before. They're going to be we know that heating assistance is being delayed. So it's getting colder, people need fuel, we're already fielding phone calls saying that they're not, they're running out of oil, or they don't have oil, they're not sure what they're gonna do this year. That's not everybody, some people plan better than others, but for some people, planning is just not even an option, it really depends, so. What that's gonna do for us is, we're going to not get funding in the timeliness that we need to, and we use our unrestricted funding in times like this to bridge gaps. To make sure that we have enough to carry over, until the funding does free up. So this is a good example of how we use this kind of funding and why we make these asks. But also, we use it to, when we write our federal grants, to bring in those millions of dollars to the county. We are required to demonstrate that we have matching funds. And that's without raising money, without going out there and actively raising money, we would have no way to bring in that.
Yeah, that's one of the grant scams.
But in
Gotta
reality,
raise money to get money.
it's a reality.
Some of our grants require as much as a 50% grant,
Yeah, I
match, you know? So if we're asking for, I don't know, $3 million to support Head Start and they want a 50% grant, that's just an example. That's not, I'm not saying that's how it is, for that particular grant, but as an example, we would be required to come up with 1.5 million to match it.
How,
If that was the scenario.
I think last year we talked about, the potentiality of double dipping. You're getting it from the towns. I mean, I'm sure you ask all of our towns for money,
We do.
and you
We
get
do.
it from the county too.
So we asked for a flat rate from the county. Our ask has typically been about $5,000 from the county. I don't think it's changed in a number of years. We ask a flat 2.5% of the value of services we provide in a town in any given year from each municipality to help us raise that money. Some towns give us that in full. Some towns give us far less than that.
Mhm.
Maybe we've made a $10,000 ask and they decide to give us 1,000.
Mhm.
So really the $5,000 that we're asking for from the county is more to supplement what we don't get. I can tell you that in the last 3 years, I only went back that far. I can go back further if you wanted me to, but not here and now. But we've received in 2003,
You mean 23?
sorry, yes, 23. We've received 71% of our total ask to the municipalities. In 24, we received 60%. So this year, our 25 requests, we've received 69%. So we never receive 100% of what our ask is. We don't. This is not us double dipping. This is us trying to bring in millions of dollars to the county. And we're asking for the support of the people who are helping to all of the people who receive the services to try to raise that money. This is not our only method of raising money. We do very actively try to do it in other ways as well. But this honestly is our primary, it's our largest, because these are the towns and municipalities that are receiving the services that are directly benefiting the people who are living there.
I don't know what you guys think. I'm inclined to give them what they asked for, but not
Before you give them anything that they're asking for, I am gonna respond because you asked the question of what the commissioners think. Keep in mind, every commissioner did not agree with the request, even though that was the amount that we said that we would go with. And we all had different opinions on it. And I think that it's extremely important that Waldo Cap does remember that they are there to be a service provider and to not be attacking towns. Because when they did come and request this money, they did specifically attack me with my town of Unity from 2023 when I made the point about the fact that they get town, county, state, federal funding, and that they need to do a better job at actually describing where that money goes. Because if you're only getting 70 something percent of money that you're asking for, eventually you run out of business. So, and District 3 is the district that is the poorest and needs the services the most. but it's really important that you're not attacking, especially one of the commissioners that represents that district.
I have to ask, when you say attacking, were they just stating that Unity didn't meet their?
Well, I think that
Yeah.
it might be better that they answer that and not you, Robin.
I will. So that was my first budget year. Tim and I sat across from each other. It was not a good year. It was not a pleasant conversation on any level. This has been the best presentation. Thank you very much for the 3 years that I have been doing this. And Tim, I'm gonna stop there. Thank you for making the point. So I'm gonna put it in perspective of Belfast. We're in a different position. And although probably you think we don't have need, we have as much need as you all have, maybe more. And we've been very fortunate in that we made a decision as a city to hire 2 genius, hardworking grant writers. That's our economic development department. And they have beat bushes and they have brought in fabulous grants for the city of Belfast to do a number of important, especially infrastructure need things. And I have learned a lot since they have been on board in terms of grants and what's involved and what they can bring to you. I'm going to use one that's kind of near and dear here. The city of Belfast bought the old Superior Court house, and it needed a new heating plant. We were able to get a grant to put in heat pumps, split heat pumps, heat and air conditioning for the building, and all we had to pay was $30,000. It was a huge number. We've gotten another grant for toxic material cleanup. I think that this was the best explanation from the last 3 that I've listened to that makes sense to me. I am not inclined to increase it as the commission notes have. The ask was 5. I think that's reasonable. I understand completely the grant situation and why you have to have that representation. In another way, very often when there are grants, they want the amount of participation. I'm going a little off subject, but it's sort of connected. Even if people make a $5 donation, it's the number of heads that make a donation.
Or
In
in-kind
terms of-
donations.
Or in terms of-
Manpower.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
rely a lot on that.
yeah. So, I'm not in your town. I understand the difference. But really, there isn't that much difference if you really dug into it. And I think the 5,000 is reasonable for the return on the investment.
Bob, can I add?
Sure.
Look, I was thinking about the page 8 that shows the dollar value of the services. And how little $5,000 is, when, as Mary said, the return on investment. You do need talented, highly qualified people to run organizations of that size. And even though those highest paid people are making a lot more than probably anybody at this table, I also don't manage a $20 million organization. And if I did, I would expect to get paid more to do that. And just the return, I was thinking about like pretrial services and how that looks like an expensive line item, but then we think about how much that saved us. And people not being housed in jail instead of being, so I think that the 5,000 is very supportable. If we could get that kind of return on investment in every single thing in here, I'd be very pleased.
Can I ask a question?
Cool. Sure.
Oh, on the consumer side, because I've actually been, my family has been utilizing Waldo Pap since 1984. It started, my brother has cerebral palsy, and the wheelchair bus van would come and pick him up and bring him to Amicus a couple days a week. So that he could be with his peers, and it would give my mom a break, for a few hours, because finding care for an adult who can't walk, talk, feed themselves, they're incontinent. He has spastic cerebral palsy, severe mental retardation, the whole 9 yards, right? And he's my whole world. So with my journey through Waldo Cap, since I was a little girl, and straight up through, things really took a dark turn, and I'm not taking a side road here, but I have to bring it to the point because as you just said, our cancer patients, our dialysis patients, this is a huge service. But I watched firsthand from my driveway the bus pull in and have too many patients for the methadone clinic. So my brother in his wheelchair was not able to get onto the bus. I have had 5-minute calls before. Now I have 4 kids to get ready for school, a person to get in a wheelchair and get out the door by 7:05. All 4 kids on the bus by 7:10. Then I go to work, right? So, but I would get a call 5 minutes before saying, I'm sorry, we have too heavy of a load to the clinic today. So my brother, with his non-self-inflicted disability, sat home and watched that bus pull out of the driveway. Dozens and dozens of times. So my frustration with the entire system is that the focus went from our most needy, who are that way involuntarily, to switching sides to be catering to the methadone clinic, the Suboxone clinic. My brother was on the bus and he was left on the bus while everyone went and dosed. There was a fist fight over food stamps on the bus. I had a lady get off the bus to smoke a cigarette in my yard when they were picking him up and kicked my dog in the throat. That ended quite violently, I must say. But so these are problems that I'm, as a consumer, watching my brother. So in 81, yes, it was a little old lady who was doing the ride along to the grocery store. The shopping trips were great, you know, where people could utilize this. But I've seen a lot of things that are gearing away from and affecting our disabled people, our elderly people, and people without self-inflicted disabilities. So if there's any suggestion that I can use this platform and my time here to make a suggestion, and I don't think a $5,000 ask is very much because you guys do wonderful stuff. And I've seen the benefit for the community, I've seen the benefit for my brother. But we stopped utilizing the services because this had come to a point where it was not safe anymore.
I see. Would you mind me asking what year that was?
It was 20, well, we stopped utilizing services in 21, I believe. So, and
Can I just
Sure,
say,
absolutely.
please give them a try again. And I'm sorry you had a really rough experience.
yeah.
I was not here then, so I really can't speak to what was going on at that time.
And I had spoken to management numerous times, at least a half a dozen times. Let's separate this. If you want to cater to the drug addicts, and I'm sorry if I sound harsh and other people don't feel the same way, but my brother was born with cerebral palsy, right? He didn't choose to take this road. So his lifelong disability for him is, to me, it is something completely different than the other side. And if you're going to do a methadone run, you can't have 80-year-old people sitting on the bus waiting for these people to go in and get their dose and then drool all over themselves and throw up on the way back. It's disgusting and it's horrible. So I have to put it out there because I see it with my eyes and I don't agree with it.
I understand it. I know vaguely about the time in which you're speaking. It was before my time, but I know that it was a rough time.
And they would not
And-
separate services. And that was the simple solution to it, is to put the elderly and the disabled people here and then have a special run if you're gonna do younger people, you know, and do the drug addict thing, because I'm sorry, but there's no elderly people in the country, in the planet, that are comfortable sitting next to someone who is
Right.
fist fighting over food stamp.
I hear you, and
It's really hard.
and it sounds like a bad experience.
It
And
was
I on behalf of the agency apologize. And I ask you to please give us another chance.
Well, and if things were
Because-
changing, that may be a key, but I know that most of the elderly people and the disabled people, and this is what I do, I care for adults with disabilities, cognitive, physical, across the
I have two
board.
disabled adults living with me as well. I
So,
understand.
and I'm a shared living provider
I am
and,
too.
and I do in-home care. And so this for me is a very dear, and I know it's only $5,000 and I don't want to, you know, take up too much time, but if something isn't done to correct these issues, your ridership's going down, people are going to be asking friends instead of using Maine Care, you're going to lose funding. My brother, being special needs, being in a wheelchair, it was like $1 something a mile that you guys got to transport him. But his wheelchair would take up 3 seat spaces. So they'd flip that seat down and put 3 people that are going to the clinic, and they would call me and say, I'm sorry, your brother can't ride. So when you, that to me is sad, and it's wrong.
I don't
So-
think you find that happening today. I really don't.
We
So,
got,
but thank you for,
Thank you.
I just wanted to put that out there.
That's
Thank
good.
you for taking so much time.
So the county is receiving $1.6 million in the opioid settlement. We do have funds that we're holding on to right now, and we're waiting for the standing committee, for the opioid committee to stand up with active participants that are actually treating, that the opioid patients, whether it be education and treatment. And I think you brought up a very good point, and maybe that's an idea for Waldo Cap to go before the standing committee to get some budget input for that particular clientele.
That would be great.
do we have any other comments on this
You
one?
have a fund balance that I didn't see on here, like an undesignated fund balance at the time.
Like,
Free money, money that you haven't, money that you haven't, put somewhere.
no, all of our unrestricted funds, I think that's
Okay.
what you're referring to, has a designation, a place to go. What is it today? I couldn't tell you what it is today. It fluctuates from day to day, and it depends on a number of factors, like what I was explaining earlier. This month in particular, we know our need's gonna be great, and we know that we're not gonna get the funding for certain programs, and so we have to make a decision as an organization. Do we front the money for that? And let those programs continue so that we can continue offering services? Or do we stop the service and wait? So those funds that are unrestricted, I could probably find out the balance for you if you'd like, but it's gonna change from day to day based on the decisions that we make in that regard. We are required to have a certain amount on hand, so that in the case of a federal shutdown or any kind of disaster thing that might happen, we can continue to offer services. So when it comes to audit and fiscal responsibility, we are required to have a certain number of operating days that we can be on hand. So I cannot give you an exact balance. If you look over the revenue sheets that we have in here, that's the clearest image I can give you. It's a snapshot really,
Right.
because it can change from day to day.
So we wouldn't know, then you can tell us like if SNAP benefits, you didn't actually get that money, that you guys couldn't cover that.
Oh, no,
Or
we
you wouldn't
cannot
cover.
cover that. I can tell you without a doubt, we do not have enough money to replace SNAP benefits. That's gonna be devastating. I can tell you, though, that because we're a community action agency and because it's what community action agencies do, we are rallying the community next Friday from noon to 2 o'clock at Mill Lane, the United Methodist Church. We are hosting an emergency summit about food security. We have invited political leaders. We have invited every food bank in the county, the soup kitchen, the YMCA, anybody who deals with people who are food insecure. We are calling them together. We're convening the group to meet and to strategize on a coordinated community response. That's what community action agencies do. We are meant to be the mobilizer of community resources. So we are taking a leadership role in that. And while we don't specifically offer a food program at our agency, other than some of our child nutrition programs, okay? But we don't specifically direct client benefit food programs. We can call the community together. We can use our reach and our influence and our size, if you will, to put together a coordinated approach to a crisis in the community.
And probably just a bigger question that none of us can deal with or answer is, that would probably need to be looked at, is why do we have such a huge number of people in our county who are using these services? But again, I would guess that would be past all of our previous.
Well, there's 15% of Waldo County that rely on SNAP benefits, I can tell you that.
Good. Thank you.
Bob, sorry. Could I say something?
Go ahead, Robin.
Well, I just want to point out, we've talked a lot about their income and stuff. And if you do look at page 6, I mean, at least in 2024, there was a $500,000 deficit. They didn't make more from all of the contributions they were getting from municipalities and towns and the feds and grants, they actually lost money and dug into some of those assets that they've got in reserve. I just wanted to point that out because I think we focused a lot on how much they're, they're getting from all these different sources, but they're still not getting enough from all these different sources to cover the services that they're providing. That's
And
all.
I guess I only asked it because I did have residents we have residents who are really involved in our budget process, who just knew how much money Waldo Cap had on hand for the purchase of the Hutchings Center. And so that caused them to say, how do they have this much money? And so that's why I ask what you have in your,
You probably know that we've been engaging in a planning process for at least a decade to try to build a facility. The Hutchinson Center provided an opportunity that would save us probably probably $20 million, like easily, okay, over the course of everything, with construction costs going up and up and up. It was an opportunity that we tried to jump on, and the only reason why we had the money ready was because of the planning process we had engaged in for the building. So that requires for nonprofit organizations who do not make a profit. I cannot stress that enough. The money we receive, however we receive it, is not free money. We use it for everything we do, to supplement programs or to plan, like any responsible entity would, to secure our future in the community, to be able to continue providing services. If you knew what we paid for rent every month, you would probably understand that it would be really beneficial overall in the long run for us to have a facility. So because of the planning that we had engaged in for over a decade to build, we did have some funds on hand to be able to make a purchase, which isn't completed yet, by the way, because it's held up in the court system. So we're in limbo.
Okay,
But yeah.
any other questions? Because I think we've kind of spent a lot of time on WCAP, and my sense is that as a committee, we would probably go for 5,000, not for 7,500. And we're not voting on this today because we haven't voted as we've gone through the whole budget. That'll happen when we have our final meeting. We'll make a vote. But I mean, my sense is that we go 5,000 on this one. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Can I just add one thing? If you have had a bad experience, I would love to talk to you more about it in person. And if you'd like to reach out, we could sit together at a different point.
Absolutely.
And discuss.
Thank you for being
Thank you
so
so
welcome.
much. Yeah, so well prepared. Yes.
Yes, good job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Firefighters?
Good morning. My name is Ken Clements. I am Fire Chief Town of Monroe and President of the Waldo County Firefighters Association. And we come to you today requesting $7,500 to assist our firefighting training efforts in Waldo County. Our current training building is in Waldo. It's in behind the well, it used to be Gurney Hill Road is where it is. We have that structural engineer reviews that, inspects that every 5 years. So we can do live fire trainings through Maine Fire Service Institute. The last inspection they had said you're good for 5 years. After our class in 26, we'll have to either need to rebuild or replace the structure. With Pat Richards as overseeing a project to try to get a whole new facility on by the Belfast Public Works, and Bill Gillespie, who is Liberty Fire Chief and President of Maine Fire Chiefs Association, has been working. We have been approved for a new facility, but the state doesn't have the funds. So we're in that, how much money do we put in the building we may be replacing? Last fall, we put about $8,000 into the building, put a new roof on the actual burn building and our storage building. So we do host, we have hosted a pumps class, basic pumps operation class in September. We had 16 people on that. We charged $50 a person. At the end of this month, we're having emergency vehicle operations class. We currently have 8 people signed up for that with a maximum of 15. Again, we charge $50 for that per person. For our basic fire school, which is a 75-hour class in the spring, we charge $250. That funds goes towards basically buying lunch and putting a little bit of money in our bank account. Buys lunch for all the attendees and the instructors.
I have a quick question. You didn't ask for any last year. That's probably because you missed the budget
It could be,
cycle.
yeah.
And now you're asking for 7,500, which was, you had been asking for 5,000.
Correct.
And 7,500, I know you guys do a good job because my fire chief tells me, oh, we're going there, or we're doing this, or these guys are helping us here. And so I think you provide a valuable service for us. Any other comments or questions?
I want to
So-
agree. I want to agree with you, Bob. And I did make a point when I got elected to reach out to my fire chief, to reach out to them to make sure that they got back into the budget process. So I echo everything that you're saying, and I support their request.
Mary?
I'm gonna support 5,000. I'm in Belfast. Belfast is moving in a constrained way towards a regional outreach in terms of firefighting and some other things. Patrick Richards, is the chief, and he came to us with experience from Bangor and with family, generational experience. And he is doing a fabulous job. And he is educated in today's world of firefighting and state and federal bureaucracy. And working towards providing more training for firefighters, not just Belfast. We're in a transition period. Like Ken said, the building has been approved. There are some bureaucracy that are holding things up. And this is a very valuable, needed thing because we still do have volunteer firefighters. And they need exposure and they need training to have as much safety behind them when they go in to protect our property and lives. I just can't justify in this budget year going beyond what we've provided previous years.
Any other comments?
I would probably support it. I know when I hear my fire chief hears the words regional services, he gets pretty scared. And for smaller towns like us, when we're looking at that, that's a scarier thing to get services. And so I'm probably going to be very supportive of it. And who knows what OSHA is bringing down. I mean, all of it's very, very scary for smaller towns like ours.
I agree. There has been talk of regionalization for several years now, and I talk with Pat frequently. The problem is, do you want to be, Belfast they cover now Belfast, plus their mutual aid for several towns like Monroe. I was talking this morning. Monroe we're on automatic tone-out. Any structure fire in Monroe, we automatically call Brooks and Jackson or Winnipeg, Frankfort, depending on where we are. What we're looking at also is who's going to be the regional hub and how far are you going to be from your firehouse? I get calls occasionally from new homeowners. Their insurance company wants to know how close are you to the firehouse? I got a friend of mine in Swanville, lives in an old farmhouse. This was several years ago. He said, I can't get insurance. He said, I'm 12 to 15 miles from the nearest firehouse. So regionalization is in the conversation, yes. But what town wants to give up your fire department? Even though like in Monroe, we may only get 4 people to show up, but we get a truck there, get water flowing while help is coming in.
Any other comments? I would, yeah, I would support the full amount.
I would as well.
I think so.
All right.
It's invaluable training for the smaller fire departments. I know that, Prospect utilizes this with all the new OSHA rules coming down the pike. I mean, they were just saying something about, when storms come and you get all the boys out there and they fire up their chainsaws and they clear the roads before anything happens. Well, better have your OSHA training and all of your gear on and everything. So I think it's
I
beneficial.
do have one question just about, so for our first ask, there wasn't a stub year ask, and for this one, there is a half year stub year ask. And I wondered about with these that are just a one-time payment, if we can get rid of the stub year. And kick it down to the following budget.
So.
If the timing of
Oh,
that
that's not.
check.
I can't even vote, like, let's see what-
Sorry.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying.
Because we're doing an 18-month
Right.
budget to move to a fiscal year, and so if that next request came in at the beginning of our first full fiscal year.
Good point.
Yeah. When do we typically give them a check,
I don't pay until the end of the year. I wait until I receive
the money?
the money. I don't want to pay interest on the.
So then I would agree,
There we go.
agree with.
Let's fix to 3750 and
Yeah. So what
following ask.
I guess where we're kind of lining up is, sounds to me like we're okay with 7,500 for the full year, but 0 for the sub period.
Yeah.
Because you'll
Okay,
you'll have a opportunity to request.
yeah, the email I had gotten said you needed an 18-month
Yeah.
budget, so that's how I put it together.
Yeah,
You did a good job.
that makes sense.
I don't have any.
We're just trying to be sneaky and save every.
Well,
every case.
and you've heard it and you will hear it. Who knows what's coming from the feds? I mean, we try to utilize grants as much as possible and locally and countywide. But who knows what's gonna happen with that.
Great, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you all.
So that one's 7,500.
75-0.
Organization was small enough that I just want like some very wealthy nerd to be watching at home and say, I'll fund them for the next 10 years.
Our next one is 1015 District Attorney.
There's a podium right up here. Ready? Hello, how are you all? Good to see you.
Thanks.
Hello, I see some new faces, at least for me on the budget committee. So I'm Natasha Irving, I'm the district attorney. So that means that I am not only the district attorney here in Waldo County, but also for Knox, Lincoln, and Saginaw counties as well. We just finished up our prosecutors conference this week. It was it's on one of the lines, the training and education, something that you all pay for our staff to go to, not everyone, but the attorneys, victim advocates, and Megan Duvall got a victim advocate, got a 5-year recognition award for her service as a victim advocate for 5 years this year. So our budget this year is, we're holding the line. I think we've gone up $1,000 or so overall. So that's as far as inflation and such, that in my mind is holding the line. Our expenses here are, I mean, some of them are to the penny. And I have Eric Harvey, he's our supervisor in the office and our prosecutorial assistant in the office. And we have Felicia Gray, who is our head legal secretary, second in command of the county employees here to help if there's any questions. They're the ones that prepare the budget. They do the nitty gritty. I've done this now. This is my 7th year, I think, presenting a budget here and for the and all the other counties in the district. So I do know what our expenses are, but they're slightly different. We kind of code them differently. They're slightly different in each county. So if I,
Yeah, I was gonna say, I had a question about personnel.
okay,
That's line number 3005,
Mhm.
full-time personnel. We're underspent by $61,000 in that account this year. But I noticed that you've got one victim witness advocate position that's vacant.
Yeah.
And is that why you've got the underspending in that account?
I believe that is the entire,
And can you do without that position?
absolutely not. I don't think, or I think that, well, I think
Okay.
that there's been discuss.
You have two, right? Victim
Yeah.
witness, so maybe you can talk about the victim witness.
Program?
Position.
Yeah, and I will just, when I say no, I do think we have had discussions that we could have that position potentially multitask and do victim advocate work, but potentially also some other administrative work. The victim advocate positions are unique in the state. They are folks that are county employees, obviously. All of our attorneys are state employees paid through the Attorney General's office. The victim advocates go through quite a bit of training, and they have a really important role in our offices. They ensure victim rights. Victim rights are part of the legislative code in the state of Maine, and victims have there are certain minimum duties that we have to accomplish as part of our court cases, and that is to make sure any victim in a case, and a victim is in some ways it's a legislative, it's something that you determine through the statute, not just was someone harmed by a crime, because harm really radiates through the community when there is a crime committed, some types of crimes, but victims who are named victims in complaints, they have to be contacted about the case. Victim advocates walk through the process with them. As you could probably understand, if you haven't been involved in a criminal court case, it's pretty complicated. And so we need to make sure that the victims, first off, know what the process is. And we are required to, and this is what the victim advocates are really good at, getting input from victims as to what they would like to see, what they would like to see as part of the resolution of the case. Now, in some cases, of course, are property crimes or thefts, and so restitution is extremely important. Those cases, and I'll say that Megan Duvall is one of the foremost victim advocates in the state as far as innovations around making sure we're getting restitution. She's looking into doing things like garnishing tax returns. And those are things that not everybody's doing in the state, and she's been a leader in our district. But there's other crimes, obviously, like domestic violence. Domestic violence particularly is a very difficult type of crime to work with victims on, because victims have, their lives often are in danger, their safety is in danger. And in about 80% statewide, 70 to 80% of domestic violence cases, victims at some point during that prosecution may not want us to be prosecuting those cases. Because of basically the cycle of domestic violence. So victim advocates are working with those victims to make sure they know what the process is, and to make sure that we know when we talk to the court about things like amending bail. Oftentimes an offender may want bail to be amended so there could be contact with their victim. We almost always oppose that. Victims do not always oppose that. But we typically do, but we need to make sure that we know what their input is. We also worked with the victims, again, in all cases, of violent crime also, to make sure we know what their preference is as far as resolution. And so in domestic violence crimes, again, maybe a smaller.
So the load that you have right now is too much for one?
I believe so, yeah. I would say in every, and Eric would know better, I'm sure, because he's there day to day. I do still have I have a couple of cases in Waldo County that I'm personally prosecuting, but I haven't been I was spending a lot of time here, but when we had a vacancy for a prosecutor, every other county has two victim advocates, two full-time victim advocates. But what were you gonna say?
I'm just-
And it is okay with everyone if you're.
Yes.
Yeah, if I just might add, those positions are also required by law, they're mandated by statute.
Two
Yeah,
positions
there
are
was-
in
Not necessarily two, but one couldn't handle it alone. So we need the backup support. And we're
It's- yeah.
doing some creative ways of adding administrative positions to help with those positions in the absence, vacation, sick time, things of that nature. But the caseload.
And there,
really high.
yeah, so, and there's more that victim advocates do. There's also grand jury scheduling. They make sure we're contacting all witnesses when we have a jury trial, a bench trial, a hearing. So that's law enforcement witnesses, lay witnesses. They're the ones that are calling to make sure what we do is we do protection requests during trial terms. There's witnesses that aren't going to be available. It could be that a police officer isn't available because they're on vacation. It could be that a victim of a crime isn't available because they have a surgery, you name it. But that's a pretty complicated process. There's also grand jury in Waldo County. Do we do it every other month or every month? Every other month. And in, so grand jury, we schedule all our felony cases that need to have an indictment. And I know this is, I'm probably throwing a lot at you right now, but every felony case, we need to get an indictment on. You can't move forward with the case without an indictment. There are timeframes that we have to follow that are very important. And the victim advocates work with all of the law enforcement is typically who we're calling for witnesses there. But there could be other witnesses, but they work with them to make sure we get a schedule put together. That's an administrative task. It's not really a victim advocacy task. It's more of an administrative task. It's very complicated, it's time consuming, and it's essential to our operations. As far as what Eric said about the positions being mandated through law. So it's mandated that we have a victim advocacy program, that victim advocacy program is run by the district attorney. And the statutes also mandate that that the county basically allocate funds that are necessary for me to run my office efficiently. So we have a bit of a different, the counties need to allocate money for me for my necessary expenses. So we have a bit of a different legislative or a different statutory structure to our budget than other departments.
How many hours would you estimate out of a 40-hour work week are the victim advocates actually working with victims? If you're doing bi-monthly trials, you said?
Trials are bi-monthly, but they're talking to, we have to talk to victims so Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, we have in custody arraignments. Those are folks that have been arrested for a crime within the previous 48 hours, 72 hours. And if there are victims in those cases, we need to reach out to victims then. So, this is something that's going on. I would say, it's hard to say because there are other administrative tasks, but as far as the proportion of actually working with victims, I think is the majority of the position. I would say it's the right. I'm thinking of a lot of the work I've done, and I don't know, I guess for me too, the work that I do is administrative at times, but it has been a lot. We've had a lot of vacancies with attorneys throughout the district. So I do a lot of prosecuting cases myself, and I work with victim advocates about victims' issues only, except for my witness list for protections.
We could probably go on and on
Yeah.
about the responsibilities of victimless advocate. However, there are other things outside of just preparing for trial. You also have to notify them of upcoming arraignments, all the court dates, the outcomes of those court dates. To get to a trial to take 2 years, you could be working with one victim for 2+ years.
Yeah.
So it's time consuming in that nature in and of itself. But in addition to that, they handle all the DHHS complaints that come through our office, which is upwards of over 200 a year.
Okay.
And for instance, Bill Entwistle presented, he's one of our prosecutors. He's been here for, how long has he been in Waldo County? He's been a prosecutor for quite a few years, but he's been here for over 10 years. And he used to be in Hancock County before that. He did a presentation this year and he won an award last year for one of the Waldo County cases that he had that lasted 4 years. Went through 8 defense attorneys, an incredible feat. And Mr. ADA Entwistle, I think this is probably going to be his last year with us. He'd be retiring.
Okay.
It'll be a loss.
Let's get back on the budget. I
Sure.
thought it sounds like you need that second one.
I absolutely, we need a position. We had had discussions about if potentially part of that position in Waldo County specifically could be allocated to other administrative tasks, but we do need that position. Yeah.
Any questions from the committee?
And line by line, I thought looks good.
Oh, when you look through the budget.
Yeah,
I had a question about line 4930. DO, Metro DA Central, you merged in 4015 Consulting, 4600 contract equipment. The 2025 budget was underspent by 42,800. Oh, no, the 25 budget was 42,800 for those three budget centers. But you're underspent by 25,231. In 2024, you spent 10,362, and you're asking for 30. Could you do with 20 and 10? 20 for the year 2026 and 10 for the stub period?
I honestly don't believe that'll be possible. Part of the reason for the underspending in the past is, so we have District 6 shared expenses, and that's that line that we try to consolidate it to make it simpler to understand. And even for ourselves, to be honest. So some of these we have to have. So we have 3 computer systems. We have Spillman, which is a law enforcement program that we use. We have in the 2 District 6 programs, there's a share file, which is our digital storage. And then we have DA Metro. So we have 2 IT people. We have the county IT and we have the state IT because of the state prosecutors and the county government employees. So we have to take like our new laptops to DA Central. They are a staff that are state employees, and in the last few years, they've been understaffed. They brought on a new IT person, so we have to pick up some of that portion of that salary shared through District 6. So that's one of the reasons that's not yet forecasted or projected. We don't yet have the dollar amount for that, what it's going to cost our department to pay our fair share of that.
So how much are you utilizing the county, our county ITs?
Oh, significantly. I mean, he's our go-between.
Okay, working you hard.
I can't touch the state software.
You what?
If they have a problem with the state software, I can't touch.
Okay.
Yeah, the state software is, I mean, this is a lot of like our case tracking, right? This is our case management system. And there's gonna be a huge change. I try not to think about it as much as I can, but we're gonna have e-filing with the courts. That's coming. And I will say, from what I understand, it's not part of the budget. Because these are things that are moving around at all times, but what I'm hearing from District 3, where they've started doing e-filing, is that the burden has landed 150% onto our county staff.
But is that a state mandated?
Yes,
E-file?
at the court. Yeah.
And
the
it's
court-
nothing you can be involved with?
No, think of it as if you have a problem with your Spectrum internet
Yeah.
and they come out and your printer isn't working, they're not gonna fix your printer for you.
Yeah, there's these different layers. Again, we have a complex office in that sense, but they're all necessary. And when I go to the statewide prosecutor meetings with the other elected prosecutors in the Attorney General's office, and sometimes we can negotiate some prices, and sometimes we really can't. And we do try to. We are aware. All of the district attorneys in the state have to go to budget committees. And we're all aware that taxes are high, we're all taxpayers, so we are aware of it. There's some things we don't have a ton of control over, but we do try to make sure we are always keeping in mind what our budgets are.
So what happens if you don't get enough money as a district attorney to run your office? I'm thinking about Knox County.
Oh, well, so in Knox County, that's a different issue. So in Knox County, they are going to, that's a specific issue, whereas, I don't know if you all know, but there's an issue with swearing in a new budget committees. We're gonna have to use the budget from the year prior. I am not terribly concerned. I'm not gonna get into the details about, we have an employee who's been there 37 years who's retiring. So I know that there's gonna be whoever gets hired is probably gonna have less salary. Right, and so our expenses aren't going up a ton. If, for instance, you all were to cut my budget in half and I couldn't run my office, I would file a lawsuit to enforce. And because of the statutory system, I think I would have a pretty good shot. I don't think it's happened. I've been doing this for 7 years. I've gotten some of the wisdom of other district attorneys who've been around for a longer time. I don't think that's happened in the state. I don't expect that to happen, but that would be my remedy, is that if I honestly felt and I believed that I could prove it to a court that I didn't have a budget for me to cover my necessary expenses to prosecute the cases, in Waldo County, I would just file a lawsuit, and which is, obviously, I don't want to do that.
Sure.
That would take a lot of my free time, which I don't have, so, yeah.
Could you talk about caseload backlog and where you stand on that?
We have, I don't know if technically the court would say that we have some hearings that are waiting. We have avoided the backlog that you hear about from the state for a few reasons. Well, for the biggest reason I would say is, the backlog started with COVID. I was aware when the shutdown began, maybe a couple weeks before, I had a plan, because I foresaw that if we didn't have a plan, that there could be a few things that would happen. If people were jammed into the jail like sardines, people could die at our jails. And I didn't want blood on my hands. So we made sure we worked with the sheriff's department, the jails, the judiciary, and defense counsel to make sure everybody who was safe enough to leave the jail could leave the jail. We were able to we did our best during that period that things were pretty dangerous, right? The other things that we did though were, foresaw that if we weren't, that was kind of the other big one is if we're not in court and we can't have trials, what's going to happen? There's going to be a backlog, right? There's going to be a log jam with all these cases. So on the lower end of cases, I made decisions that we would do things like decline cases that were very, very minimal, and there wasn't restitution and it wasn't a public safety issue. These are going to be things like driving with an expired registration. We weren't going to run your car past 150 days. We did things like incentivize pleas by offering lower fines, in cases that did not implicate public safety. We still, I think, towed the line on cases that were public safety issues.
So I guess my question came up because when we were talking to the sheriff about the jail and how many inmates we have in incarcerated. I asked him what percentage of those inmates are people that have been convicted and what percentage are people who are awaiting trial. And he said 80 to 90%, I think it was. 80 to 90% of the people that are incarcerated are awaiting trial. And that's why I asked the question.
So that is, so I could understand why somebody would think that that's because of a backlog, but that's not the reason. The reason that 80 to 90%, in my opinion, of folks that are incarcerated in our county jails are pretrial is because oftentimes those are going to be folks that might be looking at prison sentences and they haven't had an incentive to plea yet. I am aware when there are folks that are pretrial that are incarcerated that are only there because they can't come up with a couple $100 and they're not dangerous. If you look at the list and you look at who is incarcerated and for what reasons pre-trial, you're going to see that it's people that are on probation that commit another crime. Often going to be people who are on probation for something. If you're on probation, it's typically for a felony. It could be for a misdemeanor domestic violence assault. But let's say you commit another violent crime while you're on probation. I'm looking to have you held. If you're on bail, that's another issue, right? Somebody's on bail for a crime and they commit another crime, and the judges aren't just revoking bail whenever I ask. We often are filing 2, 3, 4, 5 motions to revoke bail when people commit new criminal conduct and eventually get people held. It's usually a public safety determination. Is this person already on conditions for a violent crime or for a crime that implicates public safety? And have they committed another crime or a violation that implicates public safety? If the answer is yes, I believe that it's our job, to ask for them to be held in jail. Now, those folks might be looking at longer sentences, longer time in prison, where when they do plead guilty or are found guilty at trial, that they would be going to DOC, the Department of Corrections, the prison, and not to our office. Now, the other end of that is that I typically, my view, and I think my prosecutors are doing this, is that if you're looking for a 30-day sentence on a case, is that person truly dangerous or are we angry at that person? And I think that we should be looking at sentences for people to put them behind bars, take them out of the community, take them out of the workforce, take them away from their families. I think that we should be doing that not in every case, and we should be doing that in cases where it is really important. And so I do think if we're looking at a period of incarceration, it's often for the more serious crimes. And that's why those folks may be, and they may plead out at some point or have a trial at some point and get credit for time served. But it is a public safety determination. And I could get into the weeds about it, but
So
I
what-
often feel like when the public safety issue is coming up and they could be held because of that, or the victim safety, that's when they should be held. You shouldn't be waiting for a trial 2 years down the road. We should be keeping people safe now. And again, doing it all ethically, doing it according to the statutes.
So what can be done to shrink that population? Because
People could stop
we're-
committing crimes.
Yeah, okay.
And I swear to you all, I swear, this is and I have had a lot of criticism because some of you may know, I've been known to be a criminal justice reformer, and I do stand by that. But my belief in reform is that the jail, we shouldn't be personally, again, I don't think that we should be using the jail because we're mad at somebody, because somebody drove with a suspended license. I think we should be using it when it's essential to public safety, community safety, or when somebody continually steals and victimizes from another person. And I don't mean tiny thefts, I mean serious thefts or the accumulation. So in my opinion, I would love for there to be, I would love to have less to do. I would love to have less of this happening. I don't think that's in the cards with what's happened with COVID and people's behavior. It's gotten worse. And Eric had something he wanted to say.
Yeah, there's a piece of that falls on the defense side too, right?
Oh,
You
yeah.
got delay. See, so the longer they can stay in county jail, some cases they're earning credit for time served. That means a lesser sentence for them in DOC, which is, face it, it's harder time. So if they can stall, which many of them do, and they get credit for that, then they're serving the time here. You get to the DOC level, there's less time in prison.
And every single person that's held pre-trial, it's not because the district attorney decided that's what I wanted and that's what I got. It's because it went through a hearing with a judge or a justice. And oftentimes this is happening 3, 4, 5 times before a person's actually held. And I have my beliefs that sometimes we need people held sooner, but we just show up every day and do our work. Did you have a question for me?
I actually do. My constituents around town are, they read the newspaper and they're seeing, 50, 60 cases and you got dismissal. So how do you expect those people not to return to your office if there's no repercussions, even for the smaller things, right?
Yeah.
So when my children do something, I say, okay, this is unacceptable. We're not going to do this. So that doesn't lead to the bigger things that are more unacceptable, right? So if there's no consequences at the beginning, why are you surprised at the end when you're having people come back 4, 5, 6, 10 times? There's no repercussions for their actions.
And I have a good answer for that. So
Okay.
the first answer is that what you read in the newspaper as far as dismissal is not a full picture of what happened in the case. Oftentimes I have a case that should be wrapping up next week. That's a 9-count complaint. Strangulation, I think 2 counts of strangulation and a few counts of misdemeanor domestic violence assault. Those are difficult cases to prove. The person is going to be pleading guilty and entering, and be sentenced. And I'm dismissing 7 of the 9 charges. I'm the one that drew up the indictment. I was the one that decided what the charges were. I am also the one that knows that, when I do that in the paper, it's going to say dismissal. But my job isn't to make sure, that I probably could do a better job reaching out to the paper and say, could you please make sure when you're entering the dismissals on, from the court, that you also are putting in what else is happening, like if there's convictions in 2 counts. And I just don't believe when I read the newspaper that it is an accurate reflection of what's happening. Now, the other thing that could happen, somebody could do a deferred disposition. So they could plead guilty up front to a crime and then have a bunch of things they need to do in the interim. And at the end, they have some of the counts dismissed and some of them they're convicted of. But I agree that, if I was charging people and just dismissing cases, if that's what I was going to do, and just not follow up on the case or not try to find some accountability or behavioral change, then I wouldn't charge it in the first place. You know what I mean? So I'm the one, or my prosecutors are the ones that are deciding what to charge. The police may make an initial determination. Often they'll make an initial determination for arrest or for a summons. Our office is the one, it doesn't go through the court until we file a complaint or potentially an indictment. And an indictment would replace the complaint eventually in a felony charge. So if we you know, if we were not planning on prosecuting a case, we would not charge it. We would not add those charges. But part of plea bargaining, part of, you know, just proving a case, it's more difficult than one may imagine to prove every count beyond a reasonable doubt. So that's why we plea bargain, and out of 9 counts, somebody could be convicted of 7. In reality, that individual who's going to be convicted of strangulation has committed probably dozens and dozens of assaults, but I couldn't charge all of them. But I just, from my perspective,
And
having
what
the
is the
conviction.
reasoning that you couldn't charge them, though? If they
No, like,
commit 7
well-
crimes, they should. Yeah, that's
No.
my opinion. I understand we have differing
And-
opinions on how. it
Well, and
should
I have
go,
to,
but-
I have to go to a jury and I have to prove each count beyond a reasonable doubt. That on this day, at this time, that this person did this. And I might have one person's word against another. In domestic violence cases, when I said 80%, we don't have victims that want us to move forward. That means in 80% of those cases, I have a victim that either will not show up to trial, will show up to trial and say it didn't happen. That's a problem. In almost every, I've had a domestic violence case where there was a third-party witness, and that third-party witness was a pastor of a church. He witnessed a man punch a woman in the face. He testified what he saw. We had the officer testify that they were domestic partners, and we had the victim testify that nothing happened, and that man was acquitted. So these are very difficult matters to prove in front of a jury,
Right.
and we've even seen.
And their
cases that-
concerns are the dismissals, as not the acquittals, because that's been through a process, right, in front of a judge. So if there's an acquittal and, you know, obviously it's led to that. But my constituents' issue is the recidivism of these, you know, a lot of these cases. You're reading the same names over and over and over again, dismiss, dismiss, dismiss.
But we're convicting, I don't think I'm getting across is that that's out of a complaint that may have 4 counts, that maybe they're only being convicted of 1 count, but that is a process of a plea bargain. So that person's case isn't pending for 2 years, so we don't have a backlog. And because we're going to get the same sentence, whether we get 4 counts or 1 count, based on negotiations with a judge. And our judges here, you know, I mean, one of the judges that we have here used to be a prosecutor here. He is not, these decisions are not being made. I mean, to some extent, they're being made by my office, but a judge has to endorse almost every decision, right? I mean, I have had cases where we had a plea agreement and a judge said, hold on, wait a second. You know, why is this resulting in this? You know, I don't know if I'm comfortable with this. And we have to explain to the judge, you know, why some of these cases are, why some counts are being dismissed or why cases are being dismissed or being pled down. And oftentimes it's because we're going to have problems proving the case. But there's, I mean, the 2 prosecutors in this office, you know, because you see me here and you know I'm a criminal justice reformer. The folks that are the down and dirty prosecutors in this office are, you know, this is what they do for a living, is prove cases, try to prove cases to juries. They, you know, we don't agree on every single issue. But we do agree on prosecution. These are not folks who are trying to give everybody a break. These are folks who are using the law to try and hold folks accountable and change behavior. Sometimes that means trying to get somebody into treatment. But the folks that are prosecuting in our office are not naive. I mean, these are folks who are dedicated career prosecutors.
Okay.
They know what they're, I mean, I stand by, I mean, I'm sure occasionally I could nitpick something. But these folks are folks that your constituents, if they sat down and talked to them about what their perspectives are in criminal justice, I imagine they might agree with them. They might not agree. I think it is difficult for folks to kind of comprehend the difficulty in proving criminal cases beyond a reasonable doubt. I mean, I've done this. I've been an attorney now for over a decade. I've been prosecuting cases for 7 years. And it's I still learn things every day. And it's a hard task. It's a hard job, but nobody's just saying, we don't feel like doing it, or, you know what, we think this person's going to get better. The idea of recidivism for us, I mean, that's the vast majority of the resources that we spent, the time that we spend prosecuting, the time that we're spending doing our jobs are on a very, very small number of people. My ultimate view is that we need to do what we're doing. We need to keep the community safe. We need to get restitution for victims. But I don't think that these folks that we're going to be able to change their behavior with prison sentence. I mean, there's folks that I just don't like. Either they're going to get better from their addiction, or they're gonna see the light and stop victimizing people, or not. We're just trying to keep the community safe. I don't think we have the tools to help some of these folks.
All right. let me just, did you have a comment?
I
there?
just wanted to try to put it in simple layman's terms, so I'm not an attorney, so I talk at that level, but so. There's dispositional conferences that started maybe 5 or 6 years ago. It involves the judge, the prosecutor, and the defense attorney, and they help negotiate these deals. If sometimes the judge may say, there's a weakness here, I don't think you can move forward with that case, boom, that might be dismissed. So that's kind of part of the bargaining unit that goes along for the several months that these cases are.
Yeah, I would say that, you know, from my perspective, we're on the end of trying to keep our cases alive, trying to get more out of our cases. We're having pushback from defense and judiciary. I mean, that's how I feel like we're, you know.
Any other questions
the
from the
prosecutor.
committee? All right, so I guess my sense of it is that we'll go with the budget as requested.
Good with that.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you very much.
I appreciate it. So no more questions. I'll see you all next year. Have a great call. Then the drive was beautiful, so I didn't mind coming in.
Okay. University of Maine Cooperative. 2005.
Good morning.
Morning.
My name's Matt Clifford. I'm not part of the University of Maine. I'm a citizen of Waldo County, a member of the Waldo County Extension Association. We're a group of volunteers that work with the extension program on behalf of Waldo County in bringing services here into the county. So that's who I am. And I just wanted to make a few short comments, and I'm going to turn it over to Brett Johnson, who's a senior professor. So our request, I think you have in front of you, we did the 1 year plus, I guess you're calling it a stub year, the 6 months to change the budget cycle, the total 76,000. The first year's 50,000, the second year's half of that, 25,000. And that, what that pays for is the administrative officer that sits in the office that the county provides on Waldo Avenue and keeps that office open and supports the professionals there. And also some of the utilities and whatnot required for the office. So that's the bulk, the major part of that budget request. And it's covered in Title VII Maine statute that under this program of the extension activities that the county puts up, provides that support, and then the state and the federal government through the University of Maine Extension Program provides the bulk of resources. We don't have a specific breakdown for Waldo County, but across the state, counties provide about 3% of the total resources that bring these programs into the various counties. So if you look at Waldo County with our budget requests, we'd estimate that that's bringing in, that contribution from the county is bringing in over $2.5 million of resources on behalf of Waldo citizens. And that's really where I'd like to stop and turn it over to Brett, who can describe the specific programs and whatnot. Thanks.
Okay, sure.
Thank you, Matt.
Good morning, commissioners.
Good morning.
Budget committee. So I'm Brett Johnson. I'm a sustainable ag and farm business management educator with Cooperative Extension. I'm based in the Mid-Coast region, and so I maintain an office off of Waterville Ave at our county office here in Waldo. And I'm here today to share with you a little bit about our program. So I specifically work with commercial agricultural producers in the state and in the county. Here in Waldo County, we as of 2022 have 469 commercial farms in operation. They're managing over 50,000 acres of farmland across the county. And they're contributing $22 million in market value for ag products just in Waldo County alone. And then the net cash farm income as a result of that production is over 5 million, around 5.5 million in 2022. So it's an important part of our economy here in Waldo County. And And so what we do with cooperative extension is we develop educational programs based around community needs. And before I get further into it, I wanted to make sure everyone had a copy of this. We sent it to the office, so
Yeah.
this is just a quick overview of some of the impacts
Very
from the
helpful.
last year. And also as a part of this educational process, we engage in what we refer to as needs assessment. And essentially that's we're using several different methods and tools to identify emergent problems that agriculture is facing. And then we're developing tailored educational programs to specifically address those issues with the goal of reducing costs for commercial producers and ideally also improving net income on farms over time. So one of the ways that I've worked to engage this audience here in Waldo County is through establishing the Mid-Coast Sustainable Agriculture Committee. And so this is a standing committee that changes every year, has a relatively low kind of barrier to participation. We only meet twice a year. But over the course of the entire year, we have drop-in conversations that we're hosting at local libraries in communities and also at Grange halls to bring producers together in sort of a neutral environment where they can share some of their challenges and opportunities with one another. And we can also learn directly from them what's happening out in the agricultural economy. And then from that, they engage with us in a process of identifying those needs and prioritizing those needs. And then we deliver a spring program and a summer field tour series to specifically look at those issues. That's in addition to the one-on-one consultation that I provide to producers across a range of different issues that are affecting their farm businesses. So we talk a lot about enterprise budgeting, so understanding your costs and revenues associated with a single enterprise on the farm. So finding your profit centers. In addition, we also talk a lot about land management issues. Specifically over this last year, we've hosted workshops that looked at cover cropping as a way to improve soil health over time. So improving both the financial health of farm businesses over time, as well as the environmental sustainability of farm operations. And then also, through this process of connecting folks, we're hoping to make agriculture in our part of the state more socially supportive. So folks, agriculture at times can feel very isolating for folks because the work is often done alone or in with a small group of individuals. So finding ways for producers to connect in a way that also helps them address the complex issues that farm businesses deal with is really the direction that I'm looking to take this programming in the upcoming year.
Okay, Mary had a question.
Am I remembering correctly that you've been in this position a little over a year?
So I started in September of 2023.
Okay, so a little, okay, more than.
About 2 years now.
Remember me
Yeah.
before. Okay.
Yeah.
I just want to compliment you. One of the things we talked about when you were first here, and it was like you were, 3 hours on the job kind of a thing. You have raised the visibility of what you are doing in the county in terms of these meetings, get-togethers, other than the one-on-ones that nobody sees. There is now a presence, there is now a knowledge, there is now press. There are visible results or signs of things happening, that money is being put to good use. And our farm community, while stressed and stretched, is growing and in one sense thriving. And you've just encapsulated some of the important work that is happening that our county dollars are going towards. So your hard work is being noticed and is doing some good. Thank you.
Any
Greatly
questions?
appreciate that. Thank you.
I only had one question. And it's because we're sitting on a $6 million increase in our budget. Is there anything you guys can do to bring down the request?
So the bulk of the request does go towards salary, and that salary is negotiated by a unionized workforce. Or our administrative specialist staff they contract, they bargain together as a unit at the university. And so the pay and benefits for that time is really out of our control. Yeah. But yes, Nat would be able to add to that.
Excuse me, if I could add, we did bring it down.
I did.
Yeah.
From last
Can you
year.
bring it down more?
Well, I think, to Brett's point is on the mark. And this lower figure that you have for this year is a result of our working together with the staff and seeing where we could, squeeze things. We're at the bare bones. It's actually, we're running in the yellow, I would like to say. The office isn't open as much as it should be with the single admin assistant. And what happens, I think you're hearing this a lot this morning, whether it's, criminal justice or helping in this regard is, if we start squeezing down, the good work that Brett and these others have been doing is going to be hampered if people can't get in the door and ask for help. And so for better or worse, some people would say it's a bad strategy to cut your own request before you go forward, but you did that. This is what we can do for this year. And if we're successful getting some additional administrative help to keep the office open the way it should be, we may come back next year and ask for a little more and we'll have that discussion, but that's for now.
What are the office hours?
It's
Monday through Thursday, from 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m.
Just add something about the office.
Of course, yeah, I did want to take this opportunity too to let you all know that all the programming staff that are housed at our Waterville Avenue office are here to represent their programs individually. So yeah, go ahead, Melanie.
Provide an example of like what having one administrative assistant at our office really does to programming. It was just a few weeks ago, she was out sick. And so I was going to be in the office with my staff, having a staff meeting. We are a HIPAA compliant program, so meaning we have confidential information. And so we decided what we would end up doing is hosting our staff meeting upstairs, not in a confidential space, so that we could answer the phone or walk-ins if something happened. But I can tell you that is extremely disruptive to staff when that happens, because I'm answering the phone, we're on the phone for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Let's be honest, it's an agriculture question happening. I'm a parenting educator. Like, I know babies, newborns, breastfeeding, you have those kind of questions, I'm your girl. Brain development, neuroscience, sure. You have a question about your crop, I can't answer it, I'm gonna have to, so the conversation lasts a little bit longer so that I can explain that to someone and point them in the proper direction. So by even just having one administrative assistant really prohibits our work when we are in the office. And it does make it so that, there's one day a week that people can't access the office, which is unfortunate because we host things like, one of the things is we're hosting a parenting support group at the Y, not at our office instead, because we can't be open all the time, but we do have our play group that happens there. So those kinds of things, like the office is really valuable for our presence right here in the community, where people can actually access us and see us and feel us, touch us for face to face. That's just, we hear that it's so vital all the time. So anyways, I just wanted to share like what our experience is.
Could we just know who the other people are that are here?
Absolutely, yeah. So Melanie Bryan, who you just heard from, is our Maine Families Program Manager. Karen Giles is our 4-H youth development professional, manages that program in Waldo County. And then Venia Lindley is our home horticulture professional, And Vinny does a lot of food systems work as well.
Great.
Thank you all for being here.
Any questions from the committee?
I have no further questions. I'm good with their ask.
Everybody? Thank you very much.
Thank you all.
Thank you all.
Waldo County Soil and Water. 2035.
Good morning. Good morning, I'm Andy Reed, and I'm Chair of the Waldo County Soil and Water Conservation District, and this is Gene Randall, which is also supervisor and is our treasurer. So we're asking for basically the same thing that we asked for last year, which would be 25,000 plus the 50%, will give us 37.5 for the next year and a half. If you look at a financial statement, it shows that we have a loss. Okay. And because majority of that is because we cannot predict what we're going to get from the state, nor what we're going to get for grants or from the government. So that gives us an opportunity to really buckle down and get some grants to cover that shortfall. And some of the things that we've done since we submitted that budget was we have one of our employees, who's a part-time employee, increase her time and work with the NRCS, because the NRCS, who the government shut down, and also what they did is we had 2 extra people in the office for the NRCS.
What's NRCS stand for?
National Resource Conservation Service, which is a government agency, which does a lot of the farm loans, which does a lot of the stuff along with Farm Service Agency. They lost 2 people. They replaced the people with 2 people from the US Forest Service that are taking their office space, but that does nothing for the NRCS. So they're really hassled in working a lot of extra hours. So one of our people can go in there and get paid by them to do the filing and all this stuff, which will reduce the salary of one of our employees by 5 hours and increase her time by 5 hours. So she'll be working, say, 10 hours. We also hired a new individual, Sarah Watley, which has a PhD in water resources. She has a contact with Colby College. So yesterday, what we did is we work a lot with Friends of Lake Winnequa, and because that's a lake, one of the 20th worst lakes in the state. And if we can bring that quality of the water up, it's going to increase the value of the properties on the lake, which is going to increase their taxes, which is going to put money back into the county, because the county went from, I think, 11% to 12% this year from the towns, that the towns paid 12% of the taxes they get to the county. Yesterday, what we did is we had someone from the Lake Association, and also myself and our 2 employees went around, took water samples of all the tributaries coming into the lake, which was not done under the 319 project. The Lake Association, like I said, we're working with them. We're doing buffer plantings, and we're going to do some live stakes to try to keep the pollution out of the lake. And they have raised, or they can raise, they've got an individual that has pledged $450,000 as a match to do a alum treatment in the lake, which is going to bind the phosphate in the lake, which is going to clear the lake up. And it'll last quite a few years. They've also put in a grant request from Susan Collins' office for some monies to pay for that. So there's a lot going on. Just to give you an example of what we do, this week we had a meeting, Zoom meeting for about a half an hour,
because we had to change our annual meeting, which was going to be the 23rd of October to November 6th, because the government shut down. We have 2 government computers. We can't get on. If we get on, we lose we lose the ability to use those government computers. Now, we've been shut down for 20 something days, 23. So a lot of the information of the people that wanted to go to the meeting is on those computers, so we had to put it on our regular computer. And then send a new thing on our meeting's gonna be on the 6th of November. Tuesday, our new employee, myself, spent all day at Camp Tanglewood, I think it's Tanglewood or Hidden Valley. With the Maine Audubon, okay, and 2 experts there on how to size culverts. Because if you look around the county, the town of Unity spent $240,000 on the December 23rd storm of 23. Because the culverts either were blocked or they weren't large enough. So there's a big push in the county and the state to redo a lot of these culverts before they get washed out. Now, you're gonna replace those culverts for comparatively little compared to the $240,000 that the town of Unity spent. And they get part of it back from feeding. We had a 2-day seminar there. We did it on Friar Mountain, which is a 5,200 acre plot of land, and they're trying to do it to get fish passage in. And then Thursday, I'm on the Maine Association Conservation District, which we run the Envirothon for the high schools, and we have a group. There's 4 of us, and we raise money for the Envirothon, so it doesn't come out of the Soil Conservation Service. Yeah. And then yesterday, like I said, we spent 2 or 3 hours getting water samples, of which Colby College is going to test those samples, which is no cost. If we send them down to another college, it's $800 a sample to get what we need.
So I'm gonna ask you guys the same question I asked Brad. Is there anything you can do to help us out?
I think we have simple reason, because we haven't asked for an increase. And what we've done is we had, in one of our meetings, it was brought up about, we get supervisors and get mileage for the meetings. And we voted unanimously to cut out any supervisors getting any funding for the travel time.
Any questions from the?
No, I'm good with their number.
I'm good with the number.
Appreciate your hard work.
Yeah, but we know we gotta work hard, we're gonna work hard.
Thank
We
you.
really appreciate it.
Thank you for all your
Thank
hard
you.
work. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm glad to hear culverts are on my
Have a good
radar, because it's been a
I'll see you
We'll
in
see
January.
you on the 6th.
lot of money, a
Brian,
lot of
and
time
Brian's
talking about culverts in our meetings. I figured that's probably the case.
Guess what? We're running ahead of schedule. Unless you guys want to eat lunch right now.
Yes.
Oh.
Never out of order, Bob.
He's in charge today. Lunch is on its way down. You do have the commissioner's budget here.
Yeah.
And I just contacted HR and she is on her way. It will be about 45 minutes before she gets here. She's.
Okay, well, let's do the commissioners then.
Yeah. Let
Commissioner.
me go get Barb. That works.
Sure.
Bring the defense attorney in.
More to say.
Oh, God.
Does anybody give me a 5-minute break? I do.
We'll take.
Because we want to be fresh and.
Yeah. We're on the commissioner's budget and 1020.
I'm assuming you're still sort of going line by line. We'll start with personnel. Like all the others, 27 pay periods based on pay scales. You do have 2 commissioners who will have a pay step. So those two are included in there. And you'll also notice that the part-time office assistant, well, it was called office assistant, but was gonna become office associate. That was moved by the commissioners out of this budget and into the finance budget.
Right.
That position will do a lot for finance, but we'll also do some helping with HR and also with the commissioner's office. Because otherwise, we're one people departments.
Yeah.
And as you heard from the other group, that is challenging when you're trying to answer phones and do a lot of other things at the same time.
There is no question that you all are not overstaffed.
Thank you for recognizing this.
So noted for the minutes.
Okay. Any questions there?
No.
Okay. When you get into the contractual services, you're gonna notice right off the bat that we had to increase for bond counsel. I mean, not bond counsel, county attorney. There was, and right at the beginning of this year, an unexpected, very large bill. And you'll notice that that line is overdrawn already and will continue to be overdrawn. We've had a number of grievances, a number of difficulties.
Yeah, so I'll chime in on this one here.
I missed that.
So we did have,
Zero, excuse me,
Professional service.
or 015.
yeah, we did have a case pop up. And so one of the things that we've changed on legal advice is to give us a call first. And so, and to talk so that we know, okay, you need a half hour billable time or whatever, you know, that type of thing. Second thing is we added another law firm that gives us a muni rate of $260 an hour. So that's our first step.
Who
If
is
it's an HR attorney, go ahead.
Who is that? Who is?
Rudman Winchell. Yeah, so we've got an agreement with them. So that would be our first level of defense, if you want to call it that, because we've got rates that go from 260 to 4.25. And that 4.25 kind of slapped us in the head with that case that issue that we had. So I just want to put that on the table that we're trying to get our hand wrapped around tightly around legal advice.
So there's a check and balance in place now.
Yes.
There has been for a long time, but it's just getting even tighter because all the departments utilize this. With the exception of HR has a little bit more because of personnel.
When
They
you
have
say
their
all
own
the
line.
departments utilize it, that means anybody that has a legal question. would go.
Yes.
Do they come through you guys first?
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
Correct. Now they do.
Mhm.
So if the sheriff has an issue, he's gonna text me and I'll call him up and say, what's the issue? And I say,
Because you're the liaison.
right, I'm the liaison for the sheriff, jail and benefits too. So, but that's the first call they make. And I'll go, what's the issue? I listen to it and I'm going, yeah, talk to this attorney. But be upfront. You want a quick turnaround because the more time you give an attorney, you know.
More time. to go.
We
So-
just saw an example of that.
Amen.
Amen. Pictures worth 1,000 words.
No shit.
Okay.
Does everybody here know that this current commissioner board has divided up the responsibilities and they are liaisons to various departments?
Yeah, not specifically which, but I've picked up on that.
So I have
Reference to
jail, I
feedback.
have corrections, the jail, I have the sheriff, I have the farm, I have IT, I have benefits. Heavy into finance.
So he's got all the problem areas.
Right, the real problem area.
That was the newbie fresh.
Betty's hanging out with the
Freshman.
cooperative extension, just chilling.
And here's the other thing is we rotate chairs. And so, you know, if Betty's leaning to the left on an issue, we move her over here and, you know. just-
No, they talk over my head and behind my back.
Hasn't hit you in the head yet today.
Yeah, that's.
No, did I? Oh, shit.
So I notice a lot of your commissioner meetings that are called or that I see the agendas for. Say, well, we'll call the meeting here, we'll go to an executive session and then we'll come out. Is that because you're dealing with these?
You know,
types of
there's two new commissioners.
Yeah.
And so, you know, we've got Betty with the history. And, you know, Tim brings a perspective, I bring a perspective, and some of the things we're looking at efficiencies,
Mhm.
you know, and I'll give you an example. The last workshop, I brought a list in, it was a single page of 10 point. It was probably about 15 items on there that I think we needed to discuss. We all bring our issues to the table, trying to get through them. But one was disaster control for payroll. I said, what happens if we get a cyber attack? How do we run payroll? Another issue, cyber insurance, has consistently gone to one agency. I said, I want to go to bid on cyber insurance. Let's see what's going on. And on the cyber application, now they're looking for more policies because we deal with health information. So you're talking 42 and 45 consolidated federal registers. So I'm looking for efficiencies, and we bring staff in too. So Barb will be there, Carrie, HR director. Sometimes we bring in Jason for IT. So it's more of a group think approach, trying to figure out what are we doing now and how do we move forward.
One of the things that I wanted to make sure was happening is that whatever we hear, all three of us hear it.
Yeah.
Okay, not just one, not two. What had been happening in the last few years, actually for many years, is that a department head would email something, and one or two commissioners would respond, oh, okay, that's good, that's we have permission to do this. That's not the way it's supposed to work. So that's why I felt that if I did a liaison program, and each of them are responsible for the county, for the departments that they are assigned to, they learn about that department at the same time as they know, they have an advocate to come and speak to us, the three of us. Now, the workshops, I felt that 15 years I've been doing this, but I would say I don't remember a lot of that because I wasn't really included. So I want to hear this, and I want to know what we have also. So while I'm refreshing and learning, the other two are too. And so
Good point.
and we want to be more transparent. But some of these issues and some of this boring digging into records and things like that, poor Barb and Carrie, they're always having to dig up something for us because we want it. We want to make sure we're updated, signatures are correct, many, many things. And streamline this a little bit more. So this is, I think it's been enjoyable.
You think? I'm insulted though. One of the things that came out of the workshop is if you actually look at the minutes going forward, there's a separate warrant for opioid. That way, and every expense has to come before the commissioners. That's a clean paper trail. There's one of the things that Carrie has set up, we looked at the process involved in that. It doesn't hit the general fund anymore. It goes right into its own checking account. So with that thing in 2038, if you want to audit it right now, go for it. In the past, there's been some questionable how the money was tracked. Not going to happen now. Not going to happen. So that's one of the things that came out of the workshop.
So you got 160,000, 1.6 million.
1.6 all told through 2038. That's what's reportable. And we're sitting on some funds now that we're waiting for the standing committee to approve the candidates for the standing committee because we want people that are actively involved in the treatment and therapy and education of opioid patients.
What's the timing on that happen?
We're hoping the standing committee less than 8 weeks. Less than 8 weeks. We want people that really want to be on there because it's long term. Now people will come and go. We get that, but we want that the business plan and the financial information to come from them to say, this is what's going to cost and put it before us, not us, going out to bid and saying, okay, you do this or whatever, it's because it's not that much money. So we want to make sure it's effective, what we're trying to do and measurable.
And that we're being transparent with it.
Yeah, the workshops I think we're getting more bang for the buck out of it, seriously. So.
And
Go ahead.
I just want to say that to date, the county has received $620,780. I don't know the change in opioid funds, and we have spent $147,000 of that. With everything in being transparent, I have gone to day one and I have accounted for everything from 2022 rate
So we're
forward.
moving forward on that. We're not looking back anymore.
Policy is, the commissioners put a policy in place outlining from start to finish on all of the opioid funds, how it can be used, where it needs to be tracked.
So can you help address Brandy's issue with?
That's the reason I brought that up. I didn't realize that about, putting, maybe it's a meth clinic somewhere, maybe it's some type of transportation.
Yeah.
I've done it in the past where you put 4 people in to go to counseling or for the meth, drive.
That sparked also with me.
That was
you
a
know,
very
because-
good point.
Cause
We lived it for a long time and, you know, I watched
Right.
my elderly clients, I watched my disabled clients, I watched them all get bumped
I
back.
understand that.
Because I mean, I'm sorry, but a self-inflicted disability does not.
Yeah.
You got somebody who's worked for 60
Yeah.
years and they're disabled, they need to go to
I had been doing palliative
dialysis.
care since January myself. I spent a lot of time down in Massachusetts on the road here and then moved her up here. Just looking at giving palliative
Mhm.
care to somebody that's 74 years old.
Yeah.
That's in 4th-stage kidney failure and had lung cancer surgery. That kind of opened my eyes up to the user end of it.
Yeah.
Trying to figure out how to put these pieces together. And that's the reason, I don't mind the cut on Waldo Cap. I think the level funding is what I was looking for, Mary, just to be fully transparent on it. But because a lot of towns will try to cut that down even more. And I start getting worried, on that. But all right, so let's get back to budget.
All right, so we were talking about professional services, you bumped that to 45,000.
Mhm.
And it's because of all of these different issues that you have and you're dealing with.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mhm.
And mostly complaints from employees or?
Well, there's some of that.
Some.
There's some, but
Can you just kind of
some other
generalize on the
areas.
big ticket items?
well, one was a personnel issue that we had to bring an attorney in because it involved a union at the same time. So there's that. I'm trying to think. We had another grievance based on the language in one of the union contracts, and we actually voted on it as commissioners, and then they call us back up, and so we revisited the issue, and it was a one-time issue. So the memorandum of understanding and agreement on that is that we won't go back on any other cases, but if this comes up again, it's a one and only done deal. So
Right.
that just saves time and money for the county, when you drag that attorney in. And I'll give you an example right now is I've got the attorney looking at our union contract. And I said, I want 48 hours with it. I said, because I'm going to grade it based on punctuation, English, format, everything. I want this thing cleaned up. There's too many loose ends in it. And I said, I want it tightened up. And I said, full block justified. I said, so give me 48 hours. So I said, so get on the gun and get it done.
And one other thing that I'm requesting is that whenever we have to do an evaluation or when the towns bring property appraisal, they want a rebate or whatever, that we have an attorney to officially write up the order of what we rule on. And sometimes it's not, and poor Barbara has to try to do the legal part of it. But I insist on having an attorney. I'm the chair of the Lincolnville one, and I don't hear any of them. My committee does not hear anything until our lawyers are, just to cover ourselves too.
And what I do is I take a stab at it and then we send it to the attorney, so it does save some money.
Yeah, we do that, Bill does.
All right, let's go on.
Mileage, asking for the same as last year. Yes, there is some still unexpended, but I am missing a few commissioners' monthly mileage sheets. Plus, I will tell you that we used to utilize it. You can look at the past history a lot more. There were changes last year in how often commissioners could go. And honestly, COVID kind of knocked us off our feet for a little bit, and it took some of these associations quite a long time to get off the Zoom
Yep.
Right,
requirement.
right.
And so we will be, and I have to tell you, I miss those in person. You learn so much
It's
more
so much different.
in your webinars and in your association meetings. You just get a lot more out of it. And so we will be utilizing this next year for sure. Meals, we are overdrawn. We keep that very bare bones. That includes water for the office.
Expired Skittles.
Expired Skittles, yes. It's, it's things here, that sort of thing, and we try to, we bring our own lunches, it's not that, it's when we're working all day long and required to be sitting somewhere, but even then, we're still bringing our lunches 98% of the time, so. Okay, we already talked about that, lodging, again, COVID, please factor that in, things are starting to really go back, and we will be. There's a lot of training at the Maine County Commissioners Association annual meeting, and usually in the past 3 commissioners attended that. It is 2.5 days, so there is some lodging that's involved, and I usually attend at least 1 day and often 2.
So can I interject on this one? So lodging. So I went down to the association meeting. The Maine County Commissioner Association is being way more proactive because I'm vice chair of the risk committee for the insurance for all the counties, and I'm co-chair of the legislative committee. That's a lot of Zoom work. But I can tell you on the association meeting, I went down there, and I think you've all done it before, is I go and I network. And I talk to vendors, and I do that for a reason. You never know when you're going to have to pull that piece out of the sky and fit it into the puzzle. And so I only stayed 1 night, and I came back, and I think I got home the next night because I had to stay for the dinner. So I got home probably about 11:30, 12 o'clock at night. But I don't mind pushing the envelope on something like that. To me, that's not a reward, but it's information gathering, and I'll show you how that works. When we had our HR director suddenly leave, we had to run payroll within 4 days. I reached out, made the call at night, and we had somebody here from another county Monday morning to help us out.
Use that program.
So I cannot stress the networking on these things enough. And we've got another association meeting coming up, I think, in just early December. So I am very prudent about the expenditure of that stuff.
Thank you for serving on the extra.
And I did not attend that one because I attended a different conference that the Coastal County Workforce, and I'm also on the state workforce committee. And so it wasn't overnight. However, they paid for my room. So that was good. And, $200 or $300. And so I took care of the things that I had to do because I'm the treasurer, and I had to do a report. So I had to do the priorities. I thought about driving on over to the other conference, but then it would be a room that I'd have to pay for and all that stuff. So I chose just to do the one at this time. So.
Okay.
So we are active.
Is there just a quick question, like where I work, we have a policy about whether you have a stay or not, depending on how far away you live and your mileage and hours. Does the county have a policy like that for
We're working
professional
on
development?
our travel and reimbursement policy now as we speak. And, one of the things I look at is time and distance.
Yeah.
That's the
It's
key.
2 hours or I can't remember the mileage,
Yeah.
but it's like
Yeah,
2
so
hours
that's
or
one of the
100
things we're
miles.
looking at.
We do have a policy that's quite new, and if we really want to go to an event and the allotment for lunch or dinner is more, we just kick in ourselves. So
that's appreciated.
Right.
Thank you.
And this in the workshops, we have been reviewing policies.
Yeah.
Updating them and correcting them, and also job descriptions.
That's important.
Lots of things that we're actually doing the grunt work, and getting this changed. And
It's necessary.
the handbook is another one, so.
Have you used AI to help you with writing some of the
Oh,
policies?
heck yes.
We do.
It's free.
It's free. Totally.
Okay, good. Equipment?
Yes, this, Carrie helped me put this together. The 3 departments share 3 printers and photocopiers. You may think that's excessive. It is not. We were down to 1 for some time while we dealt with some issues with the other 2. We have one that is an absolute workhorse that is 14 years old and is no longer covered by maintenance, and you cannot get parts for it, but it is still chugging along, and we will
Keep chugging.
ride that little thing until we have to cart it out and it owes us nothing, but it's. And these are literally to the dollar, including the toner and everything that goes with these things. They're shared. Liability insurance, this is,
That's the big.
yeah, and we were told to base it on 20% above the previous year that was paid. So this is how it goes, and we have to do the same thing again for 2027, and this is paid early in the year, so that's why you're seeing it twice. It will hit that 18 months. If it's lower, you can be sure that line will not go to anything else.
Can I, but you said 20% increase, but it's more like, it's more than doubled. I don't understand.
It's including the jail.
Oh, I'm sorry, that includes the jail as
Okay.
well. You can see, I don't know if you can see on your.
Yes, I
explanation
remember
sheets,
us talking about.
broken right out. So I think at one point they were divided in half. The jail budget had it. We inherited it this year. So yes, you make a good point, Robin. That is one reason why it's, I forgot to mention that. I'm
So
sorry.
does that line go when you're looking at your jail costs? Does that liability go along with the jail cost?
So when you
Your
want,
share?
yes, when you want that breakdown, I'm gonna have everything that we have pulled from jail, we moved, so some stuff got moved into HR, some stuff got moved into commissioners, the facilities, my audit line, health insurance. So there's a lot of components that I'm gonna have to
Yeah.
pull back in if you want to look at what the actual overall jail.
I do,
Okay.
I do because
History.
well, not so much
Well,
history. I wanna know from the perspective of, okay, where the heck are we with the jail?
Yeah,
Did it
right,
really
yeah.
increase or did it decrease? Well,
Yeah.
I know it increased here, but we pulled a whole bunch of stuff out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't
Another
see
place.
liability in. It's not, we extracted it from jail. Right, but wasn't it in jail in 2024? It was, so you bring up a valid point. I took all those lines out. That's why you're not even seeing it. So yeah, took it completely out of there, without thinking about leaving the history in that line. It might be nice when we do jail review again to have a new sheet that includes stuff that left, because I think that's part of the puzzle that we're all trying to put
Right.
together when we look at these between meetings or to prep for them. Valid point. Yeah, I will do that.
Honestly, I have to share, I've been starting my own Excel worksheet that doing that because there were so many line items that weren't in the jail that were moved other places. I have to admit, I mean, it's not a discussion for right now, but it does look like the consultant, I think it's 95,000, is in the jail salaries twice. Because it's in the full-time line and then it's still in there as a $95,000 consultant fee line. But that's another discussion. I just wanted to throw that.
I gave that email to Jason to look at, and he will address that on the 8th when you guys meet.
Okay.
Right.
Advertising, basically that amount that we budgeted a lot permits 2 public notices a year. We usually only have to do 1, but occasionally we have to do more than 1. So that's bare bones.
Yeah.
Will not be spent unless it's for advertising. Dues, again, we're estimating, we were told for the Maine County Commissioners Association that the dues would also possibly go up as much as 20%. And so that reflects in both 2027 and 26 and 27, because again, we end up paying them earlier in the year. This also includes like the National Association of County dues, my association dues for the clerks, administrators, and managers. Maine Municipal Association dues, that's who we have our workers' comp through. And that's it for that line, again, pretty much down to the dollars, and anything less will remain in that line.
And one of the things with MMA, we utilize some of the opportunities of knowing a little bit more what the municipalities are also doing and so
Yep.
forth. So it is valuable.
And we're actually members, and our having workers' comp with them makes us members, so all our trainings are half price.
Right.
And it pays for itself, more than it pays for itself. That's that's where we all get our freedom of access training, I get my public records officer training, all that. Postage, again, to the dollar with the estimated increases in stamps, which Carrie researched and I appreciate. We're over on that this year. I just didn't estimate enough last year. Printing and engraving, that one kind of is hit and miss in terms of sometimes you have employees that are retiring and there are plaques that need to be done. Occasionally, because I believe it falls in there if we've used up too much in our office supply for toner or printing, so we will take that out of that line too. Because we used to, believe it or not, we used to send the budgets out to people. And we finally did the math and found out it was cheaper to do it in-house. So that's what we do.
Okay.
Postage meters shared by the 3 departments, and actually facilities sometimes uses it if they, in the past when they've had to mail things out. Again, based on previous usage.
Okay.
And in potential increases. And by the way, having the postage meter, we do get a deduction on when the stamps go up, we get a few, like 3 cents reduced. So it's
Every penny counts.
It
2
does.
increases this
It
coming year.
does. Office supplies, I know you're gonna look at that and see that there's not a lot expended, and the reason is I'm held off.
Okay, you skipped the
Oh, I'm sorry.
convention hosting.
I apologize. Each county takes a turn hosting the convention, but also each county is usually asked to donate something toward that convention. And that is what this line is
So
for.
are we
We are
hosting?
not planning on hosting that I'm aware of in the next 18 months, but we will
So
need
why
to
is the 6
contribute.
months 500 and the 1 year is 100?
We have not done a very good job donating in previous years. I don't know how you feel about that. Do you wanna?
Say that again.
It's, each county usually sends something as
Something,
part,
yeah.
yeah. Do you
We
want?
didn't do it this year, right?
I think we forgot, to be honest.
I think it got by us.
Yeah.
There's
Just
nothing for
ask.
23, 24, or 25 spent.
That's because we were not attending the convention, so we were not.
Okay,
We were
so
kind
my
of
question is,
being jerked, but not.
my question is, why you have $100 for a full year and $500 for 6 months?
This is first of the year when you have to pay.
We could, do you want to go down a bit on that?
Okay.
I know why it went up. Sorry, Mary, thank you for asking. Is it Waldo County hits its 200 years? And I don't know if we're gonna wanna do a little something with that
Yeah,
in
that-
2027.
That one.
Because the county was incorporated in February 7th, 1827. That was why. I knew there was a reason why it was up.
Right, and,
So,
yeah, I remember now.
yeah,
Right.
yeah, just, it's a kind of a big deal.
Okay, let's keep moving.
Um,
Hey, we're all Waldo County, right?
That's right.
okay, office supplies.
No parties, no plaques.
And again, the reason it's not expended is not because things are needed, but we're trying to scrape, knowing that we have other lines in the red. So we're reusing folders and I often do calculations without the paper, and then that's not always a good idea, but anyway, we're scrimping and pinching because
Well,
other
what do you
lines
think-
are over.
What do you think you'll spend by the end of the year on office supplies?
We're gonna probably need to do another paper container
So
and,
we have about $400 of expenses that we just bought due to the
Yes.
flooring.
Yeah.
So with the new flooring, we had to buy different floor mats. And so in that, I was able to save some money. And bought file folders for next year at $8 for 100. That was a really good deal. And so
and I may be donating the lateral file cabinet to HR because if I can get a locksmith to fix the lock, that is more appropriate for personnel. And we are scrounging. I've sent out an email asking any department heads if they have another, I don't care what it looks like, but another file cabinet that we could use. But,
Do you
that-
guys take advantage of the state surplus?
Yes, we do. We're,
Okay.
we're members and yes, sometimes if somebody we know is taking a trip, we'll say, hey, can you scout out and see if we. So, but we try to use hand-me-downs here first, if we possibly.
So I'm impressed with your stretching and scrimping, and that makes me want to ask you to bring this down to 2 and 1.
Yeah.
Because it seems like that's very doable based on everything you're describing.
You wanna do that? Or half of that?
How about if I do this? How about if I'll personally back away from my step increase?
The step increase isn't very much.
We're gonna talk later.
Very nice, but,
So what-
but it does still seem like the office supplies could come down.
Yeah, I was 2,000 for the year and 1,000 for the half year, and I don't want to trade, even though that's very kind, but like, just want to base it on like the facts of what we're spending and what we think we're gonna spend.
Do you think that's,
I will try to make it work.
okay, 2 and 1
Or I
then,
should say we, because there's more than me.
5335.
Follow my sword. If you guys need a file cabinet or something, I'll
Money man,
send an email.
are you okay with this?
Yeah.
I know, I'm sad. I actually tried to find someone to
I
donate
hate
to
public
Long
quality.
Fire.
I got a 4-drawer file cabinet if you want it.
Training and
We'll
education.
drive backwards instead of forward.
Okay, training and education, again. There's some trainings I've been foregoing because I've simply not been able to leave the office. We have a new person coming on who's gonna need to learn freedom of access.
Yep.
All that, so that's our best estimates. Thank you.
Fine.
And capital outlay, I am asking for something, if it's at all possible, had the same desk now for over 20 years, also. Applied for a grant for one of those Veridesk raising things. I've worn it out and it doesn't like having 2 monitors on it and I fool with it.
Ergonomics.
I really need to stand up part of the day.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
You could get a high lift tractor jack for.
Cycling folders, get a nice desk.
All right, so let's just go over the changes that we made. We only made one change
Yeah.
to the office supplies, 2,000 and 1,000. All right, thank you, Bob.
Any questions? Thank you.
That's Barbara.
Thank you for your hard work and your
Ready in the pack.
watching them.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Yeah, keep a sense of humor.
All right, so I guess right now we can break
Lunch.
for lunch. Good. All right. So we're ready to start on Department 1021, Human Resources.
You are.
So,
Welcome.
So a lot of the weirdness you see with 2025 is because we lost the current HR director, we lost the previous HR director in March or April. And then,
17.
yeah, so then there was a gap before I started in June. And I
tell
was
us your
also,
name again,
sorry, I'm Tracy Benton. I'm the HR director.
Benson.
Benton,
Benton.
B-E-N.
So maybe we'll just introduce ourselves. I'm Bob
Okay.
Jurek. I'm from Palermo.
Okay,
Elizabeth Lenhar, Stockton Springs.
okay.
Brandy Bridges, Prospect.
Brianna Pinkham's at Northport. Mary Mortier, Belfast.
Nice to meet you.
Laura Greeley, Freedom.
Tammy Higgins, Winport.
All right, awesome. Thank you. I do talk fast, so if I talk too fast, please just say something.
Okay.
But yes, a lot of what we'll see here, the difference between the budget and what actually it is.
Yep.
Is because again, we lost the HR director in March. I didn't start until June. And then I was working part-time up until this week. So that's why there's a big gap in a lot of those.
That was remote.
Yeah,
How'd you move though?
it was a mess, 20 hours straight of driving all through the night. The goats misbehaved the whole way.
Shocking.
I know that.
Maybe they're just misunderstood.
No, that was very deliberate. Yes. They're goats. Okay. Alrighty, so we can start off overtime. There hasn't been overtime available, so that probably is a line item that could come out in future budgets.
Okay, so time, so based on this year, again, it was very small. That's why you're seeing such a low expended for the current year. And then for next year, that's what it would be, also with the planned increases and the extra payroll. Part-time, no more part-time, so that one's also not gonna be an issue on that part. Professional services. So as you can see, we had a pretty significant increase in 2025 over the budget because we got hit with a surprise $15,000. And unfortunately, we do see that we want to maintain that high budget because everything that goes into the professional services, that is our payroll system. So our HRIS system where we do all of our payroll, the cost on that isn't going down. That's going to maintain the same. That's also our background checks, and background checks are being increasingly important. I don't know if you guys saw the news out of Portland of the officer that they found out was actually an immigrant and actually got taken by ICE. So it's very important that we do those very thorough background checks and also psychological exams on all of our applicants for officer positions. So we have to keep that. Yeah, I don't know about that. Psychological exams, you think you could pass?
But so what was the cause of the $9,000 overage in professional services?
There was actually, it was much higher. That was because it was that $15,000 on top of the other increases that we did see. So it was actually on par until we had that $15,000 hit.
What was the $15,000?
So we got an, I started to mention it and didn't finish it.
We got an unexpected legal bill of $30,000. That $30,000 bill was split between both HR and the commissioner's office. And what was the reason for splitting it between just availability of funds or spread the pain?
Yes.
Exactly. Yeah,
Exactly.
And it was based on a personnel matter.
Okay.
So, and I believe it was a contract obligation or something, it was anyways, it made sense to split it.
Yep.
And you're okay with 31.5 for the year?
Yes, we believe that's slightly less than what we expended this year, and we think we should be able to maintain that 31.5.
Great.
The jail, we did actually break that out. I think that came up when you guys were talking to the jail budget. So we broke that out as well. So that's also the cost of the admin fees and such for the jail.
I'm confused. I don't see any numbers in the jail.
It's over in the blue
Oh, way
column,
over.
all the way over.
Oh.
What was
And
that?
I'm
for?
Robin, by the way. Hi,
Oh,
I was
hi.
muted. I'm in Lincolnville.
Nice to meet you.
You too.
So what's the reason for that being not department requested, but being commissioner requested?
I think it came up during the budget. They realized that had been rolled into the jail.
Oh, okay.
So we moved it back onto my budget, but we had to add a separate line item for it.
And that's the same types of professional services that you described, but
Correct.
specifically for the jail.
Correct.
Okay.
So let me just make sure I understand. We're talking about professional services for 36.5 and not for 31.
Okay, I thought we were
Correct.
talking
Total,
31.5.
Well, we started.
Yeah, 36.5, and then that 5, sorry, yes.
And so like, Carrie, when was jail professional services, did that used to be a line item in the jail budget? And
Yes,
how
it
does
did.
how does that 5 track with previous expenses or current expenses?
That's right on. So that's just the CGI fees. So we have to pay per person for CGI. It was $5.24 per employee.
CGI?
Payroll.
Payroll. I
Okay.
solved.
Yeah.
And so we have to pay $113.61 bi-weekly every time we do payroll. So that 5,000.
Okay, so that's
Just
not
that.
background checks and psychological assessments.
No, that's
Not in the
all rolled into
5,000.
Okay.
No.
Thank you.
Can we come back and talk about the line before the 31.5 or just the 36.5?
Yeah, 36.5, sorry, yes, that was what, I was looking at the wrong column, it's 36.5. Now I see we're on the right column, yep. Because again, that increase that we had in legal, we had to boost it a little bit to make up for that increase in legal.
So that doesn't also include the jail thing. So it's really 41.5?
That one includes the jail as far as legal fees and background checks. So that is that line item is I solve for county, all legal fees and all background checks.
And then the jail is broken out because we do have it broken out in our payroll system for the payroll fees. That's that separate line item for jail.
So the 5K is only the jail payroll fees.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay. So we were at 24/7 for 2025, but. And now we're jumping to 36.5. And justification was a 15,000 hit this year, which is split between two things got it. I'm not understanding this one, why this increase is so big. I was good at 31.5.
Because again, we would probably continue to see legal fees, just because we're having to do union contract negotiations. And that's quite expensive. So we are going to continue to see increased legal fees. So that's why we had to increase it as well.
What about the extra fee for CGI?
That's included.
That's included in the
Yes.
36?
Yes, correct. Yep. Yeah, they had to increase, of course, prices go up every year. So that's what's also built into that one for the payroll system. So because we have all the union contracts we're negotiating, and because there is an increase for payroll, that's why it's up that far. The 32, we're already over. We're at 32 this year already. We're not even to the end of the year. So
That's with the 15 surprise hit.
correct. But again, we're gonna need that additional now because we're gonna have to negotiate union contracts and prices going up for iSalt.
Okay, I need to hear an explanation.
To the tune of 15,000?
Mhm.
I guess that's the question.
I need
right?
to hear about the union negotiations and why all of a sudden there's this big increase related to that. Union contracts have been going on for years.
Sure. So I don't bring in the attorney until the very end,
Yeah.
and I do that for a reason, language.
And that's what I thought was happening, and that's why I'm having trouble.
Okay, that's what I did just now, with the corrections.
Yeah.
So, he came up for the meeting, sat in the meeting, and then he has to go back and rewrite. So at that rate, if you want to cut that back a little, I'd be okay, because, within that numbers, the 15's a one-time hit.
That's what I keep running
You hear
through my
that?
head.
Yeah. And I think we got better control, checks and balances in place so that we don't get hit like that again.
I'm hearing that every time you all open your mouth.
Okay.
I'm very happy.
Good. All right. Anything you want me to add? You can cut it.
How much?
Are we good with the 31.5?
Yes.
So hold on before you get.
Yeah, go ahead.
Did you talk about that also covers the background checks?
Yes.
The
Yeah.
polygraph?
3 times,
Yep.
she said.
Okay,
Yep.
all right.
And the upcoming.
Our background's
that
what?
we're aware of.
Much is that now?
There is some legal stuff.
I've heard
that's coming up.
31.5. Do I have?
Okay, wait a minute. These two are having a conversation they can't share with us, but they're telling us something.
Sorry.
There's
Right.
something coming up that's a big something.
There's always legal,
Yeah.
unfortunately, when it comes to HR.
I
There's
understand
always
that.
stuff, so we
I
want to make
understand
sure
that.
there's room for that.
I
Yeah.
understand that. I've been on the negotiating committee for the unions with the Belfast for four different years contracts. And we bring in legal at the end. We don't even have them come to sit in.
Correct.
Same here.
And so I know what that entails and
Okay.
cost. I'm good at the 31.5.
And half year?
Yes.
And the half year
Yes, yes.
at 15?
15,750 is what they have here.
15,750?
Mhm.
Okay, so we'll just keep that as it is. All right.
We're also still keeping the new line for the jail for 5,000 and 2,500.
Yeah, correct.
Okay, I'm good there.
So you're saying that what was requested?
The Yes.
Department request.
And not what.
Not the commission.
Okay, got it.
Next up, mileage. Again, mileage was very low this year just because of the issue with the turnover and me not starting. So we want to keep that at the previous level for the 2025
that.
budget. Okay. Meals, same thing. We want to keep that at the
Good with
previous
that.
level. Lodging, same thing.
Good with that.
Equipment repairs, this is shared between myself, the finance office and the commissioner's office. So this is a shared cost
that we all three are paying into.
Okay.
Okay.
That.
Advertising, yes, there are some things that you can advertise for free, but there's a lot of things, the more specialized positions, where you really do have to go out, you have to start using a little bit more professional services, you have to find, teams and admins that are actually going to be focused on, especially it's very difficult to find in a rural area like this. It can be pretty difficult to find police officers and things like that. So that's why we do need to maintain a decent advertising budget for when we're job postings.
We can't afford to hire anybody else, so maybe we can get rid of that.
So again, that was low this year just because of the turnover, and then we want to maintain that at the 2025 level.
Okay with that.
Me too.
All right. Dues. So that involves there are three associations. There's a Society for Human Resource Management. There is the Kennebec. Where did that one go? I had it here. Kennebec Valley HR Association and the Maine Local Government HR Association memberships. That's what those are. And unfortunately, those hit in the first half of the year every year. So that's why you don't really see a decrease in that for the half year for 2027.
Okay.
It's going to be the same for both.
Postage.
Same thing, that's also shared between the three different departments. That is between myself, finance, and commissioners.
But we've only spent $53 through October 16th. It just seems like that's a very specific requested number in the 60793.
30.
I don't think it was. Yeah, it was.
But again, she wasn't here, so she hasn't used anything. She hasn't utilized it this year because she wasn't here.
Right.
But even last year, we only used 229. So it just seems like that's a high number. I mean, granted, we're only talking a few hundred, but still, I don't understand.
The monthly, sorry, Tracy. That's also the cost of her share of. That's her share of the monthly or quarterly invoice too.
Well, but so why would that matter if the job was vacant for part of this year? Because wouldn't you be paying the same thing? No? Oh, it's not like a access thing, it's a volume thing.
I think
it might also not be coded to the correct line, and I'll have to look at that, which wouldn't surprise me if it was coded.
I believe also the previous HR director only paid her portion, and I think it's more egalitarian that we split it between us. A little less on each budget if we all split it between the three of us.
And in reality, I think that is more accurate.
Correct.
I'm fine with.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Stamps are gonna be expensive.
All right, let's move on.
Printing and engraving, we're not really using that.
Happy with that.
Safety committee, the safety committee only happens at the end of the year, so we haven't consumed that budget yet for this year.
Or the previous 2 years.
Correct. So, let's say, really? Okay, yeah, no, we
Yes,
need
it
to start
really
doing
is.
that again. Yeah, there needs to be safety. Safety is a big focus of mine, so we need to use that.
But what do you get for supplies with
It's
safety?
a reward. It's a reward for whoever has the best safety suggestion that's been implemented.
So, I'm not sure why it didn't get deducted last year, but, Jason, Bailey won the safety award last year for the lighting out back. And he was awarded $100. So I'm not sure.
Might have been a miscoding.
It could have been,
Okay.
but I do remember he was awarded $100 last year.
Well, let's go on. Office supplies.
Office supplies, yes, that one's gone up because the price of everything has gone up, and also it's a new office, I'm having to get everything, and oh gosh, HR generates a lot of paperwork. So I do tend to consume a pretty good amount of office supplies. Okay, next up, training and education. There is a SHRM conference every year in May. So that's why, again, you're seeing that hit in both 2026 and in the early half of 2027, because that's just the first half of the year. It's going to hit in the first half of the year each time. And then the remaining 50 there's a couple of other small conferences to attend as well.
Looking at 2024, I'm good with that.
Can we go back to office supplies?
Yeah,
sure.
And can we get that down to like, I don't know, 700, 750, something? Like, I understand that it's, it's you're taking on this role and you're gonna
Mhm.
have ways that you wanna run it, and that's gonna cost money to get set up, but I think
Well, I
more than doubling, what was spent in 2024 seems strange.
I did just donate a printer worth about $400.
Thank you.
Good. Good start. Is this office equipment and supplies?
Correct.
So this is the one where somebody earlier talked about sending out an email to all departments, what could they contribute to the cause? Was
Yeah.
that said
Mhm.
earlier today?
So if you donated one, did you buy something new or is it included in the equipment lease up above?
No, this is not included in the equipment lease. This was something that I donated, that I'd owned and donated.
Oh, you donated to.
Correct.
Gotcha.
To the conf.
Right. I guess I'm still wondering what we need, what do you plan to buy? Because, for more equipment than that's in this line, it just does, I agree, it seems,
Had HR people before, what's involved here that we're not knowing about, like?
Yeah.
New desk, chair, floor mats, some
Mhm.
conversation here.
Can I speak?
Sure.
So we overhauled her office this recently.
Yes,
She's
yeah,
down to
this
2
week.
file cabinets, potentially needs 1, if not 2 more file cabinets. We had to remove 2 extremely heavy, I say we, and I really mean our facilities, moved 2 ginormous fireproof safes out of her office. HR really needs file cabinets in there to keep documents secure and locked. The potential of her floor mat as well. We're talking about a bookcase in her room. Her office supplies also covers ink needed for the printer that she donated. I don't know if she's going to need a different desk or if she needs a different office chair. So there are things coming down. This is her first time in the county. I don't know what she needs. There are also things that HR, I think, needs specifically for her job.
There are no,
Files.
no shelves in there.
Yes, it needs
Absolutely
to be,
need shelves.
yeah.
We won't discuss how people run things, but order is really important,
Yes.
especially in HR.
And I think our 3 offices here try everything that we can to reduce, save,
Yeah.
reuse.
Yeah.
We try to split costs as much as we can, but I just, this is her office and she needs what she needs in her office, and that's what this line is really for.
So I think that based on newness and what I just heard. But next year, I want everybody to remember that this was a one-time based on you needing some
Yes.
things because you're new
Letting
and
up.
whatever, yeah.
Right.
Okay.
I don't want to see that number next year.
Are you okay with that, Brianna?
Yeah,
You
yeah,
think that-
it's helpful to hear the story.
Yes.
Okay,
So,
good.
thank you for
So we'll
Pulling
leave
it
that
out.
as it is. And training and education.
Good with that.
Yep, we did that.
I don't wanna be
I
a
am too.
jerk, it's just like, it's very satisfying.
I mean, that's what we're
We find
getting-
$200 here and there.
That's what we're getting paid for.
It's to be jerky.
Yeah.
You get what you pay.
So anyhow, let me just repeat, human resources 1021, we're leaving the department request, we're accepting the department requested budget at the amounts that are shown here.
And adding 5,000 in
No.
jail professional services, no?
For the
No.
jail, separate line item for jail.
Yes, Robin,
Yes.
you are right.
Yes.
Robin is
But
right.
the commissioners.
The commissioners added it.
I know the commissioners added it. So were we adding 5,000?
Yeah, I thought.
It sounds like we have to, because Carrie was
Okay,
able to
I-
justify it based on actual expense that came out of the jail.
All right.
Line item for CGI.
5,000 and 250. 2,000.
2,500.
Yeah. Okay, so line, and I'm looking at the department requested one. Line 4022 changed to 5,000 and 2,500.
Mhm.
Okay?
Yep.
Hey, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Alrighty, you ready to move on to benefits?
Yeah, this is the
Okay.
part where we burn the building down, so
Here is.
I'll run away.
And benefits is,
Don't forget the chop suey.
2025.
as you go up, grab a bag.
Thanks for the lunch.
2025,
So let me lead off by saying the sticker shock is because in every previous budget committee, we have only ever looked at what we are paying for the actual, like the premiums. We've never actually looked at what the county is paying in its self-funded healthcare. So here are some papers that I have.
And I
to
don't
kind of
have
break
Kelly
everything
on
out.
that.
Thank you.
Oh, no. Is there a digital copy you could email to me?
We can scan it.
Yeah, let me take care of that. I'm so sorry. You need like. So scan and send to Robin. Yes, please. Thank you so much. Sorry to leave you for you.
In December.
Yeah. So if we take a look at this, we can see, we broke this out.
You can see it.
Sorry, it's very small.
Yeah.
So this is current as of the most recent payroll. So if you look down at the very bottom columns here, the premiums, we're currently at $1.462 million for premiums for the year.
Where are you?
But
At the bottom.
yeah, all the way at the very bottom.
Okay, so the column C that says from county jail, that's premiums?
Yes, that's the premiums.
Okay.
So that's the number that you've been seeing. That's the number that's only ever been shown on all previous budgets. It's just the premiums. Now take a look at the next column. That's what we're paying. That's what it's costing us and all of the individuals. Since we are self-funded, that is what we have to pay for all of our insurance. Any claim that comes through, anything that the employees go through, we have to pay. So that's what we are paying. That's again current as of this most recent payroll. We're looking at $2.275 million as of the most current payroll for our benefits costs. That's what we have to pay to take care of people's injuries and sicknesses and everything. And the final column, that's admin cost. That's what it costs just to process all of the claims and make sure that everything's going back and forth between us and the carriers and it's all being handled correctly and our administrators being addressed.
Okay, so let me ask a question. If I look at the check register column, column D, and I compare that to what it says we've spent to date, we're on 2025.
Correct.
I'm sorry.
So that's not included. This is the first time that any budget has seen this.
Where was
How
this?
can that be?
Yeah.
I think,
How do we know what's been spent or why can't
Yeah.
we see it?
Carrie, can you address this? I think you know.
So I think what has happened is once upon a time in a world that was less expensive, the premium costs covered our check registers. Over the last few years, we've been seeing those monthly or weekly check registers increase, and our premiums are no longer covering the actual expense. I'm so sorry, I don't understand check registers. Oh, they're weekly expenses. What kinds of things are we writing checks for? Dr. Bob, sends to our insurance company an invoice for $5,000 for Jane Doe. Yep. That bill then is paid through Meritain, then is charged to our account. We are paying the medical bills. Okay. You go to the hospital, you accrue an invoice, gets sent to our insurance company deducts it from our account. And this is for how many employees the county has on insurance? 90, on insurance.
A lot more than that on
Talking
insurance.
covered lives and covered lives. is
Yep.
The spouse, the kids.
Sure, yeah,
So about 120, 121 roughly
121 covered lives. Okay.
right now.
Okay.
I don't understand though, if you're saying the number looks bigger. Because it's including what we actually paid, well, where's that money coming from
So,
that paid?
Maybe I can help by asking this question. Maybe not.
So let me
If I
address
look
a
at
couple of other things.
what we've spent to date, on our financial statement, it's $864,832. When I compare it to this, you're telling me you spent $2,275,069. Where did these expenses go?
Those expenses, so that 1.4 that you see on that spreadsheet
Yeah.
is what we've funded our health account with.
So you.
So the
you
two
take it-
point four is what we have the invoice expenses. So you're kind of offsetting that 1.4 to that 2.2.
So that's your 800,000.
The 1.4 came in and the 2.2 went out. We're budgeting the 1.4. We budgeted that
And
from
you put
last
it
year.
into a fund.
It goes into a separate fund.
Okay.
So when we get that check register,
Yeah.
that check register is deducted out of the money that we
Out of
put
that
into
fund.
that account.
What is the balance in the fund?
I don't know off the top of my head, but it's under probably 200,000 right now.
Okay,
We also have stop loss insurance, which we will eventually get reimbursed from stop loss. That also kind of replenishes that. We've had to use the TAN funds to help fund the health balance this year, and then the insurance that's earned off from it. So we've kind of had to tap from different places to pay for this.
okay, can we go back to starting to try to be on the same base here? Health insurance line 4724, the budget for 2025 was 1,000,003. But on this chart, the first column at the bottom, it says 1,462 and something.
So the one point that's there, that is only the county portion, and then you have, did you say 1.3 for the
Yeah.
county? And then jail has 700,000.
Oh, there, yeah.
So that gives you $2 million in total that we have funded that account with.
Okay.
You can see that at the very, very top. Shows at the very, very top of that paper I just gave out, the budget approved, the $2 million is there.
Okay, so column C is how we fund it. Column B is our experience.
Mhm.
I guess I still don't understand. We had to expend more than we brought in, and so I'm wondering where is that other money, where did that other money come from that we paid these with?
It's coming out of again, TAN, stop loss, interest, any source that we can use it
So how
from.
come last year when the budget committee, when you had this budget, why was the figure only that a 1.4 million if you knew it was going to be more? And why
I
would the budget
can't-
committee have known that, oh, it's actually gonna be more and it's gonna be paid for between all these other funds?
I can't speak of when the HR presented this. I don't have.
I'm gonna make an observation. I could be totally wrong, but this is my observation. I think the difference is Kevin Kelly as the commissioner going down a rabbit hole and having background in health insurance.
And I
So he's the problem.
Well, thanks a lot,
Dare
Mary.
you illuminate these troubles?
And I also have a lot of background in health insurance, and that's why I'm bringing this to the committee, because this needs to be something that is known. Because before, this was all completely a black box.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, we had a lot of black box.
Which I'm also gonna take a moment then to say why my vote was against an 18-month budget, because it seems like there's so many unknowns like this. And again, like I said before, it's the responsibility, I know two of you are new, but the responsibility is being taken from you and placed on the municipalities to have to deal with. And it makes me uncomfortable with
agree.
all of these unknowns and where money has been sitting, and that the budget committee just didn't realize it last year. I'm uncomfortable with it.
I think last year.
I'm more than
also,
uncomfortable
Yeah.
about it,
and
to tell you
prior
the truth.
years. I think Amy told us that what she did was she just paid. She paid they funded it up to the amount that they put into the account or something like that.
So Carrie is right. Years ago, they were making more money on the premiums than what they're paying out. If employees stay here longer, they start getting older, then we all have health issues starting to happen out. So that's just a fact of history, with the employees that are long-term employees here.
I do also
They
have some
did-
supporting articles talking about the price increases that have been going on
Yeah.
everywhere across
Yeah.
the board.
Mhm.
Yeah, so
So
I can show these around.
there was a health investment account and they were making interest off that account. And then we had a finance director back early 22, that decided to take that investment account and open up the checking accounts the 42 checking accounts to show interest better. I'm thinking that's crazy. There's an accounting way to do that.
Wow.
So the
She's
investment
proud
account is
of
gone.
interest.
Our costs are going up, and to be self-insured is crazy.
Yeah.
So that's the reason, that I went to Cross Insurance. I wanted to go to bid. And they bid with self-insurance, 7 companies that refused to
Yep, here's
bid, declined to bid
7 companies denied us.
because of the 24-month prior history. We've got some high cost utilizers.
Yeah, someone in April ate up,
And the
3 times
budget
as much the
committee
other months.
was never, I think, I told you I put the numbers on the table, which is the tough questions and really good questions, doesn't bother me. But you never saw the combined cost, the administrative cost, the insurance cost of reinsurance, the actual claims paid, and the premium cost. Those are the 4 things that you've never seen together. And that's what you're seeing now. And how did we pay it? Through TAN, through interest, through,
Superior Court was, but there were funds from that were.
yeah,
funded.
so,
We pay it now.
And then have this question first.
yeah.
Kevin's not wrong either. There's a little bit more to it too. We've been getting told for the last 5 years that this was coming. So let's not act like that this is a surprise and that just because we're 2 new commissioners, we don't know what we're talking about. We've been talking about this during the budget process for the last 5 years, it becoming an issue. It's now coming to that front.
My issue is, I have a little bit, and I want to know why this could happen here. Is you said there was an investment account and the person working with it just cashed it in and opened all these 42 accounts. How come that can happen? I mean, shouldn't that be like the commissioners? How can that happen? Why did that
I don't want
happen?
to point
I'm
fingers.
not
And to
really
tell you the
asking you
truth,
to,
it's
but I
history
just-
to me. I'm trying to figure this out going forward
Yeah,
and get our ducks straight.
yeah.
That's where I'm looking at right now. I would have gone ballistic if I'd have found out that finance director had opened up all those checking accounts,
Yeah.
and I think they did. And I think they took some action on it.
Yeah.
So
That should never.
we're trying to fix this problem.
Okay.
And to look at this alone, I can tell you, I just compared another note with Tracy this morning. By moving the broker, she confirmed it. I was saying $40,000. We saved $40,000
In the admin fees.
in the admin fees. There's a second piece of this that I tried to confirm on Friday morning when we were on a Zoom call. There's another 7% in there on the reinsurance of $338,000 that they don't know sure if that was part of the fee embedded in there or if it was on outside and on top. If it was on top, which I kind of hope it is, that means we've just saved another $24,000. So we're looking for savings and how to figure this out. And we're trying to craft a plan to transition to get us off of this self-insurance because it's absolutely nuts.
Yes.
Yeah.
I want that in a minute. It's absolutely nuts to be self-insured. If we took one
In
more,
this day and age.
Yes.
Yeah.
yeah,
It wasn't.
if there's one more comorbidity, it would wipe us out,
Yeah.
period. So
One more point of clarification too. For
hold on.
every 5 to 6 counts that we've closed, we've only opened 1. And that account was specifically for the opioid funds, which we made sure to be very transparent about. So like Kevin and I are just getting in here now, we can only take what we have right now and go forward with it.
So one of the things that we're talking about is we actually talk, protected health information behind the scenes, which we can't disclose to you
Okay.
because of 42 and 45 Consolidated Federal Register. Then we become personally liable for $50,000 each
HIPAA.
per
Thank you.
release. And so I've been doing that for 20 something years. So we're looking at individual patients, if you
Offender?
want to call that maybe we can manage them better with patient advocates and also case management
Yep.
to get their utilization down.
Yep.
I actually, I talked to Carrie, I want to get way more specific about this. I want to see the CPT codes, which is 99201 through 99499. I want to see that. I want to see the breakdown by categories of the pharmacies cost. So if there's ways to save money
Yeah.
there to get back on the pharmacy benefit manager,
Yeah.
because the last figure I looked at, and I think the end date on that was mid-August, was we've spent on pharmaceutical costs $225,000. So this is a lot of big numbers up in the air that we're trying to get our hands wrapped around to manage this better until we can get out of the self-insurance plan. And it's a very,
Is that process gonna take?
I talked
I
to
know you
one
can't
town,
predict
I
it.
actually had this conversation with one town. I said, you got to give me a year. And you know, because trying to get an insurance company to pick up us as commercial insurance is the problem. When you get 7 DTQs, decline to
Yeah.
quote, we've got a problem. And we have to figure out how it is. And I think Tracy and I talk almost every day on this issue.
Pretty much.
And so here's another caveat. You know, when I negotiated to go to Cross Insurance Agency, and they put on a table a figure for the per patient per month, you know, broker fee, you know, we were at $67. Immediately they dropped it to 45 because they're more forthright, have better resources. And I said, I can't deal with 45. Can you go to 40? 40 was what we were paying CGI for our other benefit piece. And I said, and it can't stay there. And they agreed to it once they can get all this information gathered together, because now they're the actual broker and can go right into the insurance you know, software. They said, we can drop it. And I said, what can you drop it to? Because that's another $40,000 right there and per year. And they said, we can go to 26, 28. And I was talking to Tracy and I said, I'm going to give them a couple, 3, 4 months, and then I'm going to ask them to drop it. Or if they can stagger drop it down to get where we need to be. But it is a tough beast to get under control. You're seeing actual numbers. That's what we're putting on the table.
Brianna?
Can I ask?
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
So
Sorry.
to answer your question, I want to be clear on this because it's complicated.
I do understand that. The first thought that I have is then perhaps the amount that we've been using that TAN for really might not be exclusively just because you folks need a fiscal budget compared to
Medical budget.
right. But because monies have been used from that TAN, which I wish knew coming on that had been included in the budget, then perhaps we wouldn't have had so much interest from the TAN if at least it's
Sure.
like you see, we put out a budget that really wasn't an accurate budget because
Realistic.
it wasn't realistic.
Right.
And so coming on what you say is good, and my gut is to trust you on this and that you really are going at this.
I'm going after it. I'll tell you that
But
right now.
still, some of it just it's like it seems like that's might have been what happened. The same with communications, you know, having them fund so much of theirs that wasn't in the budget. That is just really concerning with the 18 IT.
Yeah.
It's concerning with that 18
Yeah.
month.
So
I can give you another example real quick, because we're talking depot shots for you know, the residents. And depot shots easy to give. It lasts 21 days, and but the cost is too high. And I said that in a meeting this week with the sheriff and the jail administrator and the chief deputy. I said, you know, that shot's too high. I tell you for a fact, it's too high. And so we got to go back. There's another way, you know, on another budget line, medical stuff, to try to get our hands a chokehold on this thing. We have to get a chokehold on it because, you know, the 100% tariff on pharmaceuticals is going to hit us between the eyes. And so we've got to really, I mean, I'm not talking big numbers. I want to get it down to the penny. And that's where I want to be. Having opened 3 pharmacies, I got a pretty good head around this. And I told Karen, and I think I mentioned it, Tracy, I want to break down the pharmaceuticals and what we're paying and where they're being bought, because that's the telling story. So
let me just ask
Sure,
another question. So with the self-insurance, you should have a self-insurance fund that you fund every year. That's what this column.
it's per patient per aggregate. It depends on the
Okay,
costing.
so you should have that, and then you should take your actual charges against that fund. And the balance that's remaining in that fund should be enough to cover some sort of future expense.
Well, I can tell you, one of the things, I agree with you, Bob. I think that's a great idea. There is one thing we're looking at, Tracy and I are looking at right now. If we can make it happen, it would save $30,000 a month. I can't tell you what it's for, but it would save $30,000 a month. out of the gate.
What did your auditors say when they came in and looked at that?
I've heard, they've not said anything about it.
You haven't gotten a preliminary management letter or anything like that?
No.
No, we got, on the 21 audit, we got a management finding, and that was for reconciliation of the checking accounts.
Okay.
You know, the 22s, we're week 2 into this now. We should hear in 2 weeks
I
on
we
23.
have an update for that.
You got it? Okay.
But he was trying hard to get it done by the end of the month, but he has questions regarding some bank accounts.
Yeah.
The transfer of funds from one reserve to another because there's so many moving components to this. So he asked for payroll reports. So he is working on it. I don't know if it's gonna get done at the end of the year. I do have a meeting with them on the 1st, next Tuesday.
Are you saying the 22 audit? By the
Yeah,
end
I'm
of the year?
talking 22. So I talked to Kevin Edwards yesterday. So I don't know if it's gonna get done. He said that he's working hard. When we asked for the new data, well, the years from NDS, that was able to clear up some reports to help him out a little bit better, but he's working on it. Don't know if it's gonna get done at the end of the month.
So
to go back to the
I-
medical piece of this.
did you have, Laura? Did you have a question?
No,
I do, just a
Brianna.
quick logistical one. Why is there nothing in the stub year for this?
Yeah, that's what we were saying. We need to.
We had that
yeah,
discussion.
Discuss that just a moment ago.
That's just like a little like $2.5 million oops.
Yeah. Oops.
I think we're still focused on getting our hands around what we got
Right.
now.
Yeah. We're hoping-
Move a third of that 4.9 into the stub year, because there's nothing there.
We're
That'd be great.
trying, we are doing some things that are gonna result in savings. We know that there's gonna be savings. We just don't know how much,
And how soon?
right?
Yeah.
I understand that, but you have some obligation that you haven't recognized yet, I guess. That's what I'm trying to say. You know, you should have something, some fund that says, okay, I'm gonna be able to handle my future obligations.
I don't think we had that in the past. We were just pulling it
They
from.
were just,
So once upon a time, there used to be an investment account, and I think that health insurance wise, the county was in a much better place than what we are now. Unfortunately, due to the rise costs, the increase of medical expenses, this account has just.
so you depleted the
The
essentially.
account is being depleted. We have used the sale of the Superior Court to help fund health insurance. We have used TAN money to help fund health insurance. We have used stop loss insurance to
Insurance.
reimburse this. Our interest rate, like we have tapped every ounce of money we possibly can. I still, a former commissioner would say, we're just gonna kick the can down the road. I mean, and that same state, in that same breath, he would say there should always be at least $2 million in that account, if not more. And they just funded it based on the cost of premiums, not looking at, and I do remember having a conversation with the former HR about how we were only looking at premiums and it was not, expenses were not being looked at. Kevin comes in, he's seeing this. There are, what's happened in the past is changing. Moving forward, these corrections are being made and while they're hard changes, they're positive changes, because we need to look at certain things in a different light. And just moving, that's what we have to do. It's happened in the past, it's happened, we're learning from that and moving forward.
Thank you, Kevin, for digging in on that. No.
I would think it would be good going forward with the budget committee, if it ever happened again, if we knew that there's a large portion of something in the budget that's actually being funded
Sure.
by something else.
I totally
Because the
agree.
budget committee would just think, oh, this is the
That's the reason
budget.
I put on the table that we have to go back to the reserve accounts, verify the language to make sure that what we're taking out of reserve accounts are actually what they're
Supposed to be for.
supposed to be for. Thank you, Mary. No, I agree with you. I agree with you. But I can tell you, this problem here, I wake up at 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning, and sometimes I'm shooting emails out, trying to, do we look at this? Do we look at that type of thing? Let's get with the brokers. I live 6 miles from the broker. You know, I'll drive to the office. I've been there. Actually, I went off the reservation. And when I couldn't get the answers from our administrator, and when I finally tracked down our broker, which is out of New York City, I was getting lip service. I know when I'm getting lip service. And so I just drove over there. I interviewed, in fact, I spent 2.5 hours interviewing the case manager on this. I just want to know his background and what he knew, not to give him the business, but I wanted to know who we're going to go to bed with. I want to know you. And so they've got the resources to give the analytics that we're looking for on a faster and quicker pace, because this has to be real-time information to make these decisions.
So let me ask another
Sure.
question. You say one of the problems that we have with getting rid of being self-insured is that our
History.
contracts we're contractually obligated. Are we
Well,
contractually
I will-
obligated to be self-insured?
No, we're not.
This is just the insurance companies telling us that we
We're not,
don't
though.
qualify, they're not gonna cover us because of our big claims. So that's why we're focusing so heavily on claims management with this new broker. Everything
Yeah.
from claims management all the way to pharmacy, like he was saying. We're also looking at some plan redesigns, just everything we can do to just start bringing stuff down and make savings for us so that we can move off of the self-insured.
And did you get any
All the
quotes
quotes.
when you sent out your RFPs? You said we had seven denials.
Yeah, they sent them out 7 denials. They looked at the 24-month history.
Why is
So
it
So you
cross
didn't get
denied?
anyone to bid on it?
Hey,
Oh, so
What's the
Cross is
difference
a
between them
broker.
and Cross?
Cross is the broker. We're staying
Oh.
with Meritain for our actual provider.
Insurance
Because they've
carrier,
already
Okay.
had us, yeah.
Meritain,
Yeah.
Cross is the broker.
Yeah.
Got it.
So how did you come up with
Yeah.
1 point, whatever, or 4 point? How did you
Because
come up with 4 point?
If you look at our costs, look at the spreadsheet that we've got for you there.
Okay.
And if you add up those columns there, we're already, I mean, it's real, we're gonna be probably 4.1, 4.2 by the end of the year this year. And then with all the other rising costs everywhere else, that's why we boosted it to 4.9.
Help me understand how, when you say you're already at 4 point, whatever.
Well, we know we're going to be, we're looking at where we're at now. If you add those three in the column there, you can see where we're at right now, and it's still only October. So we're estimating 4.1, 4.2, somewhere in that range by the end of the year.
Can I,
look-
wait,
Sorry.
I'm operating under a bit of a deficit because I didn't get to look at this when you were describing all the columns. But isn't column C, that's not money we're expending, is it? I thought
No,
that was the breaking out of the approved budget or something.
That's the actual budget there. That's the premiums. That's what's been showing up in the budget.
That's
the
money
premiums we're
in.
paying. Yep.
That's
Why would-
money in though, isn't it? It's premiums. That means that's what our.
Yeah. That's what we're paying, so that
So how are you getting that we're already at 4.1 million? I don't see that. I see 2.3. And when I was adding up some of the column E looks like that's part of column D, the totals that are in each month. So you've really got me confused by this.
We still have to pay premiums, just like with your own personal health insurance, you have to pay premiums.
This is
Those
our
are
portion of the premium.
Pay, not premiums that our employees pay.
Correct.
Where is revenue
Yeah.
from the premiums the employee pay?
Yeah.
That 168,000, that's employee and employer. The county pays 85%, employees pay 15%. So that is
Thank you.
employee and employer. And so when we break that monthly invoice down, employer cost, employee cost.
So you're saying, for instance, row 7 in column C, 85% of that is what came out of our budget, and the other 15% was revenue from our employees.
Correct.
Yes.
Okay. So 85% of the 1.4 million is what we've expended year to date from our budget.
I believe so, from that 800 that you had, I think someone mentioned that 864 earlier. Yeah, the appropriations, that 864 in the appropriations report that we're looking at, that's that.
Plus there's, don't forget the county, don't forget the jail side. So those aren't showing the 800,000 plus the jail.
Mhm.
Find those.
Funny thing there was, we were warned. And warned for a couple years, for 3 years. the self-funding of our health insurance, that we're in trouble, but nobody had a solution.
And it wasn't
Nobody
brought
did
up.
Anything about it.
It was not brought up in the two prior budget committees I've sat on.
Mhm.
Amy especially repeatedly talked about what a great,
How wonderful.
how wonderful and great, and we were, I mean, there was nothing about this and about
Well,
future, any of that.
It kept reminding me that, you're gonna be the only one left here, so, you know, we're in trouble.
So if we said today, sorry, 3, it would just mean that you overdo it and you take out 10, or, I mean, what would happen?
We'd be that 1.9 in the hole.
Sure, but you've already been in the hole, so why not be in the hole again? I'm not suggesting that, but I'm
Right,
saying, like, why is this year?
But we're also spending stuff that we don't have. And how am I gonna come up with $1.9 million when I have $100,000 in a checking account? That means more TAN, more borrowing to pay back, to take out of a budget that's.
Sure,
There's
this
just, like-
group here gets to say, your county has been screwing this up for however
years.
long, and now we are all going to pay what the real cost is.
Yep.
Now.
But we're trying, but we're also trying to make the change.
I get
Customers
it.
come in and you can't.
No, I'm sorry, I don't mean to, the frustration is from, it's how are you gonna pay for it? I'm very glad to have a realistic budget that says this is what we need to pay, but
It had to happen sometime, and I'm.
it should have been happening over time, not all at once.
To pick it up
The real
and
thing we need to
also
talk about
advise us on this.
is
We didn't have that before.
whether we do the 18-month now or we take a year
I agree.
and we say pause. We have a realistic budget. Thank you, commissioners. You have done an awesome job at being transparent and showing us the real cost. We needed
Much
to see
appreciated.
this. We need to take this to our towns. We need to say, here's the realistic budget. It's gonna be more this year, but we need to budget next year for an 18-month and prepare our towns. Say, okay, we need to budget for this. We need to prepare ourselves and bring the 18-month next year, not now. Because we have a bigger budget now with being realistic and push it to next year.
I see what you're saying, Elizabeth. Yeah.
Yeah, that
Not-
decision
not-
was made
not-
without this information.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
not cram 2 big budgets with a realistic budget, which is already bigger.
Because we can't
gonna say-
continue.
And then- More palatable bites.
So,
Can't continue the way we're going. So, at some point, we had to do something. You know, like I said, I feel very fortunate that we have Kevin that has the background and was able to explain it and to work out some things.
The two balls in the air are housing prisoners and medical benefits.
And
If you look at it right
there's a
now,
couple
they're
others.
46% of $13 million. Even if we went to $18 million, that percentage, if we stayed at what it is now, and you add on that extra million for housing the residents, then it drops to 41%, but it's still big numbers. And we're a check writing facility, and the sheriff has said this, for housing the residents. We're trying to resolve that one, hopefully within less than 2 weeks. Because we've been pushed out of the collaboration, trying to resolve that. And at the same time, we're trying to resolve the medical benefits of this piece. And I can tell you, anytime you talk benefits, and Mary can probably, I think you all can attest to this, is when you talk medical benefits, we've already had pushback from one union saying, well, you're taking something away. You can't do that without our permission. And I'm thinking, you don't want to sit across from me on a table and have that position.
Yeah.
Right.
Trust me, I'm pretty open to everything, but having negotiated medical benefit contracts for over 2 decades, and sometimes, that cost was higher than that. I was getting it down close to less than $3,000 cost. So what's killed this county is the self-insurance.
Yes.
Should have got off it probably 10 years ago, a decade ago, but
that when they got on it?
2007.
Before I started.
The history was there, it's spoken that they were making money because of the premiums, it was covering the claim cost. But the aging population and not revisiting this every year and having this discussion
Yeah.
This one,
is
this very.
the problem. That was the problem.
Plus, we didn't raise the, the premium
Yeah.
for years and knew that would come back to bite.
This is like getting blindsided.
It is. It is.
For everybody here.
So you didn't raise the premium on the county and on the employees?
Well, they did that last year.
Yeah,
But you know,
3 years.
I mean, it's an 85-15% split, which I think is okay. But, you know, everybody's got to have some pain in this game.
Yes.
I mean, seriously.
So
Seriously.
last year it went up 30%. We
Yeah.
found out in December that the cost went up 30%. We had to increase the premiums for the employees and then our rates went up. And instead of going bi-weekly, paying the first and the second payroll, we had to pay every week. So there were some increased costs towards our employees.
And here's the other example too, on the reinsurance. You know, we heard this 2 weeks ago, 2.5 weeks ago. They wanted to go up 90% on that premium, insurance premium for the reinsurance on that, on the stop loss insurance. Yes. They pushed back right away. It's less than 5 points. So we're pushing hard on this thing, but you know, where's this number going to tease out at? It's like, you know, it's anybody's guess right now.
So at what point does reinsurance kick in?
It's a
120,000.
120, well, it's per individual, it's 75,000, then 120,000 on the
So
aggregate.
per individual.
Yeah, yeah. Oh,
Not
So
in-
what happened? Why
Yeah.
is that 1 month 600,000 then in April?
That was from, I think, there's been some stuff in 2024 that they've been going back and forth with the insurance company.
there's a carryover plan.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
finally kicked
and
in.
you gotta
So
marry up.
it didn't represent a large bill for a patient that then for some reason we did not get any reinsurance.
No, what can I share?
Yeah, you have to be very careful about what we can share here, yeah.
Just answering yes or no to that would be, I think, enough
Yeah.
information. Yeah,
Okay,
it was medical, it was usage. Yes,
Yeah.
okay.
thank you.
It was usage, but not usage where our reinsurance could help us. Because isn't that, correct me if I'm wrong.
That
I
is
So
reinsurance.
the reinsurance is not for when we have a particularly large bill and it's kind of our insurance that somebody else is helping cover our larger bills? I didn't say that well.
Robin, you're tapping into situations that cannot be discussed for confidential reasons.
Well, I would respectfully disagree there. We're not asking about any individuals. We're asking, don't we pay insurance premiums? Is that what the reinsurance is for if someone who we are covering has something more catastrophic? That's why we have this other insurance to help us cover their unusually large bills. That's not taking anything away about anybody.
We have to pay it up front before we get reimbursed by stop loss.
Right.
First for that April?
I am not sure because stop loss also determines what's under stop loss.
Oh my gosh.
It's complicated.
Very, yeah.
And I don't know enough of the details.
I mean, that's the one big item in that whole column right now.
Yeah.
And what about reinsurance? Where is reinsurance shown? Are these numbers net or gross?
Those are weekly gross numbers.
Weekly gross
It's a big
expense.
missing piece for me is like, I want like a balance sheet of money in and out because so the premiums, for example, yes, that funds those two things together, the 85 and the 15 fund a thing, but the 15 is money that we didn't spend. It's money that the employees spent.
That's right.
So that right there needs to be accounted for in the story.
Separately,
in our
because it looks like
Yeah.
You want to break those
It's kinda
numbers out?
separate.
Yeah, and I want to know what we're getting back from
Yeah.
stop
What's
loss.
coming
or
in, what's
reinsurance.
going
Yeah.
out, what are the categories?
Yeah, because
Okay.
it's not, we're having to make decisions
That's a
without,
fair request.
without all the
That's a fair
information.
request.
Yeah, because I mean, I have to say, what I'm seeing with that PDF that you guys passed around does not justify 4.9 million as a budget this year. Unless that's what you're saying is what I guess I'm just not seeing it.
So again, that's, I mean, we have to pay those premiums regardless. So that's still money in that we have to account for regardless. So that's still money upfront regardless. And that's why we're saying that it needs to be that large, because it can
What
take a while.
premiums? Are you saying this, are you talking about the reinsurance premiums?
All
So we pay 100 and then the employees pay us back their 15.
They're all paying, well, yeah, we're paying it, it's coming out of the employees and us at the same time. So we've got the 85, they've got the remaining 15. But that has to be paid up front to the insurance company, and then everything else comes out after the fact. So regardless, we have to pay that. Just like in your personal insurance, you have to pay the premium regardless.
I don't think that's mean.
That, not arguing about that.
Yeah.
But also, so the check registers column is the checks we've been paying to providers and pharmacies, and that's what that column is, D?
Correct.
Does that also include our reinsurance premiums that we're paying for stop loss or?
Column C is that.
Yeah.
I thought column C was the premiums.
That's all premiums, including stop loss.
Okay, so it's, so the 8515 doesn't apply to the total here, it's something less? Because then there's an additional, so we've got the.
If you've got reinsurance in that column, then the employees don't pay 15% of the reinsurance, do they?
It's all consolidated. It's all that one.
It's all
that one
jammed
thing.
up together.
Right.
That's our issue.
Yeah. I mean, it's.
I probably just want to point out or ask Gary also.
I'm checked out.
If we had probably received our audits, I'm assuming that the audit would have pointed out that we weren't showing the properly budgeted amount for these healthcare costs, and they probably would have brought that out in the report in the audit so that the commissioners, and we would have, had a little bit of head up.
Really messy year.
That's the bad one.
Yeah.
So
Get 4.9.
And that's where we're at right now. If you look at all these columns.
I understand what you're saying.
It's still stuff we have to pay regardless. We've got to have that money available regardless.
So Bob, just so I get it clear in my head, do you want to see these numbers broken out a little bit different way? To see if it would make better sense on that 4.9?
Well, it makes sense and help me, Brianna, if if I'm. I would like to see, here's our premium. I'd like to see the premiums broken down by, what we're paying for insurance, what the employees are paying for insurance.
Sure.
What our reinsurance is.
Yeah.
And then I guess this is the only amount, these are the amounts. Oh, so we had to pay the premiums plus we have to pay this, but we don't see any of the reinsurance coming back. We don't see any of the
It's
other
simple.
stuff.
I know it's not as simple because it's a mess, but as simple as money in, money out.
Yeah.
To actually flesh out the story of the
Yeah.
4.9 million.
I think so, yeah.
that's really what it is. It's just to
Okay,
flesh out.
all right.
Did that make
Yeah.
sense?
Yeah, I got it.
Year graph for our town to show our in and out, our expenditures and.
I mean, it's no simple task, but
Right.
now that we've switched brokers and they're more responsive to our requests, we can go back to the table and we'll sit down. Tracy and I and Carrie will sit down and we'll figure it out.
Because for the budget, we need. I guess for the budget, we're kind of netting these numbers.
Yeah, you want more
netting.
granular detail on it.
Yeah,
Revenues, projected revenues, and none of that is in projected revenues.
it's not in project.
So that's not the
That's
full
right.
story. This is not the full story of the Waldo County budget right in front of
Yeah,
us.
so reserves were used in the past. and that
Reserve,
wasn't
well,
a
it's gonna be,
picture either.
Okay.
Anyhow.
So,
Mary?
so Kevin,
Yes.
since the first introductory meeting, when you all knew a lot more than we knew at the time, and you were trying to set us up for the biggies. And it didn't mean anything to us at the time, other than, oh my God,
Now it does.
now it does.
Shit.
Yeah.
That's the normal lights.
So you have made many references, many repeated references to things you've been doing on a daily, hourly, nightly
Sure.
basis. And you've mentioned a number of times that we'll be smarter in 2 weeks or whatever time period.
Yeah.
And so this thought just struck me, the light bulb just went on, that our work is not going to be done on the 8th, ready to schedule a public hearing. We're going to end up pushing this final budget decision until as late in December as we can.
Unfortunately.
Because we're going to need every ounce
Sure.
of information.
I understand.
I mean, my first year, 3 years ago, we did our vote on New Year's Eve day. Our final budget.
I think we did.
Yes, we did. I know we did.
I think we reached one of those times.
So I'm not saying that's what we should do. But what I am saying is we're not going to have our final votes and decision on this on November 8th.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, you guys have got to take time to develop the information in a format that we can understand.
Yeah.
And that's going to take some time.
But we also need the benefit of time for you to get smarter on a few, you know, it's going to be maybe, you know, it's not going to be a lot of money.
Yeah. No,
Maybe it'll be 40,000.
Yeah.
But it will be smarter at least. We're looking for pennies, nickels and dimes.
I hear you. I hear the desperation in your voice. So, but I agree with you.
So I think we're on hold on this line. I want to hold it to the last minute.
I do too, until we know more. Until we.
You guys did we all vote?
We do, to really decide. I would like to ask the budget committee what everybody thinks about the.
I'm going to speak to that.
Thinks about what? Sorry, I didn't hear.
Let me do.
Right. She was asking what everyone's opinion was about the 18-month budget.
Let them finish their little.
Yeah,
Let's-
and
let's
then
get
Mary
this
said she wanted to speak to that.
Let's take a scope at that.
So this is monthly
Yep.
proof insurance packet
Yep.
that Malcolm sends us, and this is the breakdown, and this is what we use to determine what our
Yeah.
building stuff is.
Okay, all right.
So.
Okay, so we want to pause on that line item.
Those two lines,
Yeah.
yes.
So that's line 47,
24 and
Wait,
39.
3902.
and 3902.
So, okay, wow, we really worked through that page.
So for those of you who weren't on the budget committee 2 years ago when I joined it, I realized immediately that the 10, which had jumped that year's, I don't know, 2000%, something crazy, got everybody's attention. That if I were in business, it was crazy that I didn't have income coming in until 3/4 of the year later. And I asked a question of the commissioners that I was shot down on so fast, your head spun. I asked why, maybe the beginning of the conversation about the fiscal year versus the calendar year. And I've been a proponent of that since then. And I was when we came into this year. But that was before I knew the background of what we're going through. And I listened and I read. You tried, but there wasn't enough information to really get there.
Right.
It was great that you all did an introductory meeting this year. That was very beneficial. That had never been done. It was fabulous. But we just weren't as far along as you were at that point.
Yeah, that's fair.
So I'm glad you did it. And then, you know, the jail and the IT, we're gonna come back to on the 8th, and we all know that it's gonna be a heavy day. Jason, bring some aspirin with you. And this one is, you know, the other. And I just, at this point, do not see how we can go to the 18-month budget at this point in time.
What was the last sentence, Mary?
That I just don't see how we can go to the 18-month budget at this time. The numbers are just, there's
Bringing
not,
that
it's,
back up
it's
today.
not,
Too big a jump.
it's,
That's too many leaps.
nobody is going to be able to not only absorb this, but afford it.
Comprehend it.
It's passing the
It's-
county burden on to the
Yeah,
municipalities.
there's too much
I-
here.
Right.
I think that,
And we're not gonna be able to change enough of the numbers to
No.
even
make it
consider it.
feasible.
Well, I can't, if that's, the decision, the consensus of the budget committee, then here's what I'll put on the table, is that every year we'll put it on the table.
I'm not, yeah, that's good, because I plan to be on the committee again next year.
Good, good to
Um,
hear it.
and I liked, when you said revisit the
Right.
next year.
but small bites.
So
I
have
the
so much
realistic
more
budget
information.
being brought to us,
Yeah, yeah,
I think
yeah,
is a good first step.
that was an unknown.
I think if this is, yeah, I agree. The 18-month, when you guys first brought it, I can absolutely understand it. I can absolutely understand why it's needed. And my mind was wrapped around 2025's budget. And I was like,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
we can do
yeah,
this.
Yeah.
And then when the budget binders came,
Yeah.
holy
Yeah.
camole, it blew
Yeah.
my mind.
And I was a proponent because Belfast went through it,
Oh, you did?
but we weren't in this mess when we went through it.
Got it. Okay.
So small palatable bites, I think each town can absorb, but shoving two big massive increases
Yeah.
down our throats, we can't. You're gonna
Right,
choke
we
us.
saved hundreds
You're
of
gonna choke
thousands
us.
of dollars in interest, and
Yeah.
this is not, there's.
It's a double negative.
I would, I like. Look
Between-
forward to this process next year, having so much more information about what we're trying to
Well,
understand today.
and you've got to, just thinking about budgets, I know Carrie's been doing this for the county for quite a while.
So can I
Just-
put a motion on the table that we go for a 12-month?
You
Yeah,
can't
and
make
we
The
that.
commissioners made the decision,
Okay.
having a discussion and
That
trying
we
to enlighten.
recommend the commissioner reconsider
Mhm.
That we recommend
The
the commissioners.
changing to
reconsider,
fiscal year. It's,
change
Guys,
the-
call your vote.
do we have a second?
Who was
All-
the second? Thank you.
Can you tell me again what we're voting on?
Asking the commissioners to reconsider, recommending to them that we want to just do a
Consider our
12 month.
decision on the 18-month. So what
Okay.
was-
Okay, so we've got a motion and we've got a second. Do you have any discussion, any further?
The
discussion?
motion itself is what?
The motion is that we have asked the commissioners to reconsider going to a fiscal year this time, through this budget
So
process.
there's budget cycle. Okay.
Is everybody okay with that?
Yeah, we ready to have a vote?
I am.
Mhm.
So we're gonna do a roll call because Robin's on the computer. So Liz, how do you vote?
In favor? In favor?
In favor?
In favor?
In favor.
And
In
I-
favor?
Favor.
So, and
Make
one
this up.
absentee that's not here, so that's 3,
That's
6,
not
7.
8,
That's 8.
8 in favor.
Did we miss one? Did you say anybody?
Yeah.
Doug.
You didn't vote.
No,
Oh,
she did,
Yeah,
Yes,
she
you
did.
everyone voted.
Okay, so then we have to, our process is another public meeting, or we have to have a special meeting or what?
Well, probably.
Okay. All right,
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, do we wanna
okay.
continue on through this one?
Yeah, sure.
As long as I can get a cupcake.
That's because they don't have the bar.
That's next.
All right,
Exciting stuff.
that slushy machine.
We need one.
Okay, so line item 4730, the retirement annuity, our 457 retirement plan. We're pretty well staying within the boundaries on that, so we're trying to keep the same budget for next year, 6,600. And then 3,300. We're still gonna continue to say that now. Just until everything's on the table.
Okay.
So we had a brief conversation about, I think this was where it was. About the county had been hit with some long-term employees retiring.
Mhm.
And there was costs associated with that that were maybe not quite expected.
Mhm.
And that each department head had been asked to try to determine who might be coming up for retirement in the next year.
Correct.
Oh, that was our severance conversation and
Yeah.
that came from me.
Yeah, this is just the 457 plan. It's an investment plan.
Okay.
That would have, that discussion, if you're talking about it, would be under 2040.
Thank
You're
you.
talking about severance.
Next up, 4735 Maine State Retirement through Maine PERS. They do increase their rates every year, so we're looking at the previous year and then how they've raised their rates, and that's how we're coming out with the request for next year, and then again, half that again for 2027. I'm still gonna continue to say that.
But we were underspent by 116,000. I'm sorry, yeah, 160,000. And why did we jump then from 575 to 644?
This does vary, based on people coming in and coming out and electing and such, so we're looking at
44.
On the 12 months, 643, 744.
Hold on,
I've got 612.
4735 on.
Just do
Yeah.
this section now.
Oh,
I want to read.
mine's got 916. What do you got?
1023.
I don't have an updated one.
I
got updated.
Yesterday I handed out updated.
Oh, I didn't have this.
Nope.
Fine.
Sorry.
1023.
There you go.
Mine's 1022.
You can have Doug's.
The bottom right-hand corner says 1023.
Mine does not say that.
Do you have the right numbers?
Oh.
Do you have the same numbers? The 916 has different numbers.
I don't know, I don't have a copy.
I copied at home.
What
you think?
All yours to do is eat. This is, oh, you're looking at the year to date now. I think they were hoping about this.
Yeah, 414.
Never mind. Sorry.
what was that, Robin?
The year to date on that appropriations.
You have to.
414,865, right?
Rounded.
The Maine State Retirement, isn't that what we're talking about? Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah,
47.5, yeah.
yeah, 4735, and the one that you guys sent dated October 22nd, it says the year to date is 414,865.
Year to date spent,
Yes,
unspent is 160,000.
right.
2 months remaining.
And what's your monthly payment, basically?
That varies. Typically county ranges, I think, between 60 and 70,000. It jumps up to 90,000 if there's 3 pay periods. And I think the jail side is around 30,000 to 35,000. Jumps up
That'll be
to,
over.
I think, 45,000
Yeah.
if there's a 3 pay period. So the
Right.
So these numbers that you're looking at is based off the actual percentage for Maine PERS to the amount to the personnel lines, the combined personnel lines. Tracy and I have that spreadsheet that I created to determine what that amount.
So it's tied to individual.
Yes.
And varies if they're hourly is based off of their.
I'm good with both of those two on.
Yep, me too.
And then the jail, same thing, that's also talking about the main PERS for
Yeah.
the jail.
Great.
The insurance, that is for life insurance. So that is the life insurance that, and we're keeping that the same because that's pretty well staying within our budget there for life insurance for our employees. And then same thing with the jail life insurance. That's what we're offering, the same thing as a benefit for our employees.
Okay.
FICA is based on income. And that's federal taxes and we don't get a say in that. When they go up, we say, okay.
I think we can
Moving
drop
on.
down to the family plan, main
Paid family leave.
paid family leave.
So this one was good. We did see a savings on this one because we are on a plan that means that we don't have to start paying it until May of next year. So that's why we're keeping the budget the same here.
Yep.
And then that means that once that kicks in, we've already got the money set aside and
Yep.
budgeted and ready to go for when that
Yep.
starts to kick in next year.
Yeah.
Same thing with the jail, FML.
Yeah.
Workers' compensation, we are gonna keep that one the same as well, because that's also based on head count. So that's, we're keeping that base. We looked at what we were calculating for the year. We were looking at the groups that we've got. And because salaries are going up, it will go up a little bit, but we can maintain that same budget. You'll see, we're able to do a decrease in the jail.
Teresa,
How come
What do you
we could
have
do a
for-
decrease in the jail?
hold on, what do you have for workers' compensation? I have 64 on here.
Oh, I have 88.
Oh, do you have 88? Okay.
Yeah, I have the 88 and the 52 that we were doing.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So we
I
had.
want Carrie's numbers.
I'm sure. Well.
All right, let's
So-
change it. Oh.
No. So going back to the jail as to why we were able to decrease it, in previous years, they had split that number. I'm not sure why they did that. That was part of some of the things that happened with the jail. And so now we're looking at more accurately calculating that based on what we're actually seeing coming out of the jail.
Okay. So we leave those the way they are.
Okay. And then eye care.
Special eye care.
Yes, that one can vary. Some years we may have some heavy utilization of that. Some years we may not.
That's
So-
part of your medical plan?
Correct.
Okay.
No, that one is not.
It's a reimbursement that we offer as like part to certain people, but it is through, like, they can only get glasses every so often through the medical plan. So that's why we see the variation. We want to hold that.
No,
steady.
this one's the contract obligation
Correct.
for the
But
comm
people
center.
can only get that when their insurance plan allows them. So that's why we keep it the steady, because even if it varies year to year, because their insurance only allows them certain years, we have to make sure we have that available for when they put the requests in.
All right,
And then,
discretionary.
yep, that is for, if we have someone who has a family member that passes away, or we have a retirement party. That's just that little slush fund, so, send flowers or get a plaque or a watch or something like that.
Got that, Mary?
Yeah.
I think we're set on this, except for the health insurance.
4724 and 3902.
Yeah.
We will revisit.
That finishes our fun for today.
Yeah.
That's it.
Pardon?
I'm good for another 3 hours.
Any other questions from the committee?
On the discretionary, you asked if you wanted to move down on that, and you said yes. Did you
Yeah.
pick a number, or was that just a general,
Yeah.
we'll revisit it next?
I've answered.
Okay, all right, I just want to make sure I didn't miss anything.
Make one last comment. One last comment. I really appreciate the pushback, asking the question. I really do. I mean, that's the only way, because we're all in this. And to me, I don't want to start a revolt, but I think the committee ought to meet every quarter. To say, hey, here's a snapshot where we're at. We did it with the management and the managers with the county. They hadn't met in 15 years. So there's a quarterly meeting. Betty goes as the chair, quarterly we meet with all the commissioners, but it's just to keep those,
15 years, how'd you know everyone was still alive?
no kidding. I don't know. if you're paying something.
Your health insurance notes.
But I really appreciate the hard question, because you know what, maybe there's something we missed or I missed that's critical, and that's a piece of the puzzle where I'm always looking for. So thank you.
We appreciate you and so deep and hard on these. I mean, that's a pretty specialized profession, Kevin, and we hit the jackpot that you're able to actually navigate that, and it's very complex and time consuming, and we're grateful that you're.
I just don't want to be like Washington County.
Right.
Mary.
Can I ask?
That's
Oh.
for the
Mary was next. I'll get you after, Robin.
So we have scheduled a meeting, our next meeting, our only other meeting scheduled for Saturday, 11/8.
Right.
And we scheduled it for 9 to 1, and we thought what we were going to be doing was revisiting jail, IT, and sheriff.
And it's,
So-
and we've added interest.
So we have not voted basically on any line.
Not yet.
No. We're not ready to.
No.
We brought up something a few minutes ago that's going to add another session of some kind. And from my first year, when the meetings were scheduled in late November and through December, every Saturday. Well, some were in November.
Sorry, Mary.
People have lives.
Yes, especially in December.
And we are now getting into a season where people have busier lives and commitments beyond their control. So it may not be perfect, but I think we need to talk about prospective dates. And then there's a public hearing that needs a 3-week lead time.
I'd rather talk about those dates today.
Yeah.
So you're thinking of adding more to the 8th?
Well, we may need to think that, but
let's just.
but that's not
let's-
gonna give us enough time for the health
I think
conversation.
it needs to be a separate meeting.
Barb and I are gonna throw a monkey wrench into this. Okay. Yep. So, Barb and I cannot be here on the 8th, and we have an office associate
Yeah.
that is 5 weeks in, maybe 6 weeks in by the time that she comes
And it
in.
was gonna be a couple hours we were gonna get her.
Yeah, cause she has to leave early.
Yeah.
If you wanna talk tan interest, I really would like to be here. I don't wanna be on, I don't wanna not miss that. So if we could schedule maybe an evening to talk solely on tan interest, I would pertain that idea to you guys.
Well, we did, talk about Robin and I coming on Monday.
Yeah.
But I
We
think
try
the
to work that
presentation
through.
should come to the group.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know what's funny? In a not funny way, the tan interest seems like
No.
so incidental
I know.
to the conversation that's important this year.
I'm dropping a bucket. But if the commissioners, I'm just throwing this out there, if the commissioners make a motion to move to the 12-month, cancel their fiscal, it's gonna drop that tan amount
Yeah.
to roughly around 300,000.
We need a meeting to revisit healthcare.
Yes, that's a separate
Basically.
meeting. That's a separate meeting.
And
Yeah.
like Kevin said, you needed.
Yeah, we need time.
To
Yeah, we
lead on
needed
that, right?
I
time.
don't know which way
As
the
we get
commissioners
back
are gonna
into-
go on our
Request?
refunds.
No, we don't. So nothing's changing on November 8th so far.
Yeah, I think it's about the same.
Okay.
November 8th, yeah.
Because for her sake, please either brown bag it or.
Yeah, absolutely.
I appreciate that, because I think I would imagine you'll be done noonish, hopefully anyway, and we've just asked
It
her.
said 9 to 1 when we scheduled.
Right, right.
Lunch.
Right.
And I do think because this is the second time through some of these budget centers, they'll go a little quicker. Cause we'll focus on those things that, we asked them to go back and check
So that's gonna be on the 11th,
on the 8th.
On the 8th.
11/8.
We don't have one on the 1st, correct?
No, we
Correct.
canceled that because of
It's
funding.
hunting season.
Ah. I would have had. I would have been like, sorry, guys.
What I'm hearing is venison for all. What I'm hearing is venison for all.
Yeah, I can have my wife make a venison stew. We still have some left over.
I mean, the lunch.
That's if you catch something, Bob.
I said we still have some left over.
Ah.
Gotta clear out.
You can buy us some trash.
So Bob, are you saying you're gonna come in Monday, and talk about tan interest, just so I know the time, what's
Yes.
going on here?
We
Trying to
said
figure
we'd
out-
be here
Nine.
at 9.
All right, that's fine.
So Rob and I are gonna
Sure.
talk tan interest.
How long?
But if you do change to 12-month, then it makes that discussion kind of a moot point.
Well, no, I don't think so.
No.
Because even the 12-month budget, I've got issue with. That's why I wanted to look at it.
How long do you guys need to get that more detailed insurance
What
assessment?
do you think, Trace?
We will know more in about 2 weeks. I
Two weeks?
They haven't gotten back to us on that first email that we sent them regarding the billing and
Right, so
the.
that's why I think within 2 weeks, because we're meeting with them.
But I think that we need to tell them that we need the information
Exactly, know what they want.
Sending a
Yeah.
poke email.
Yeah.
I think we need to tell them to hurry up. We can't.
So Trace, how about, right, I'll come down. Was this, what day is it? Saturday?
Saturday.
Monday afternoon?
Wednesday, November 12th.
Let's brainstorm.
That's
All
my
right,
birthday.
all right.
And I can't do evenings on Wednesday,
I know there's
Oh, I
like a
can't
regular
either because I
cadence
have
of like,
one.
everybody has meetings.
I work every Wednesday and Thursday night.
That's how we end up on Friday nights.
And
Yeah,
Mondays are
Mondays
select board.
Yeah.
And Monday nights are select board here.
That's why I
Wednesdays
like
are select
Saturdays,
board.
'cause nobody else dares invite me to a meeting on a Saturday, so.
Or Fridays, right?
Saturdays are
Friday
good for me. I can do Tuesday night. I can do Friday
Monday,
night.
Tuesday, Wednesday.
Can't do Tuesday.
What do we need? 72?
Do we do Friday the seventh, or is that too soon?
Beginning of the month, right?
That's the annual award.
Oh, yeah.
You're gonna be the eighth anyways, okay.
Yeah.
Is that still a 9 to 1, guys?
Yeah.
Or we
Yeah,
could stretch that one.
9 to 1
Time.
no lunch.
November 14th?
Into the
I really would,
Yeah.
I have a family thing the 14th I'd really like to do.
All right, today is.
I'd rather
yeah,
do Saturdays in November
How
before
about-
December.
Okay,
this
how about
is-
15th?
I can't
So
do
we're
the
talking.
15th.
And Sundays don't work.
Thing and.
We should
and
count.
what's else then.
Okay, how many can
Don't
do?
have any.
Workshop.
How many can do what? The 7th? Are we doing the 7th?
The 15th.
15th? I'm out of town, but I could Zoom in.
I might have to Zoom too if I
Okay.
Yeah.
see what.
But I mean, and once we get through the 8th, we'll have a clear picture of what we're
Right.
gonna need then.
I can do the 15th, but only if it's in the
Oh, yeah,
morning.
I'll make.
Like
sure
our
Monday
9:30
afternoon. Get our
o'clock.
ducks in a row.
Yeah.
I think it's health and then also like voting.
It's health, it's voting, it's the final.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't want to miss that one.
We should. We.
Oh, I thought the 8th, we thought the 8th
Have a lot
would
more
be,
information by that, so.
I forgot what I-
We do this one, should have those.
22nd?
I'm
I mean, I enjoy
So
it.
what's that first?
gone all of
Thursday.
Thanksgiving week.
And the next, that's the 29th though, right?
Yeah, but I mean, like, I'm
Oh,
leaving
you're
the
leaving
state
it.
from the 22nd
Oh.
to the 1st, just because I thought this was over.
So did we say anything about the 14th? That's a Friday
I
night.
can do the 14th.
We have the
Okay.
15th written down. I could do the evening of the 14th.
Can't do the beginning of the 14th.
I could do all day.
I can't do the evening either. Because I have to do all, getting ready for the 15th.
I go.
Okay, so I'm hearing,
I will be.
Sundays
Yes.
are not possible. Are Sundays never possible for me?
I'd rather not.
No, I like Sunday for a day of rest.
Sure.
What it was intended for.
Okay, so we haven't
What
made,
about the 20th? Friday, the 20th?
Hold on.
I'll,
There is no Friday the 20th.
21st?
I'm here.
Oh, okay. I could do the 21st.
so,
Mhm.
let's wait for.
During the day? Evening?
21,
Do.
I can do that one.
21 in the evening,
What's the date that falls on?
Friday the
Friday.
another Friday night.
So are we doing 11/8, 11/15, and 11/21? 3 more?
No, we're
No,
not doing
no,
11:15.
Oh, okay.
And we're not doing, yeah, we're just doing the 8th from 9 to 1, no lunch.
Okay.
Oh, we're not doing the 15th?
No,
No.
For the dog.
21st,
21st?
21st, 9.
So is that the health and the final votes?
Consider for the.
Yeah.
Yes, look at that with my cats.
The 21st is a Friday, so were we talking 6 o'clock? On the-
Yeah.
Yes.
Revisit health and final vote. Thank you, I think 4 weeks or so, Kevin.
Seems we're slashing things. Your 8 weeks just got cut to 4.
When's the hanging? What was that, Mary?
November 21st.
So we can be there.
I'll shave close that morning.
That gives you like 5 weeks.
5
To
weeks.
get your affairs in order.
Good luck,
so-
Bears and water.
Let's say 2 weeks. Affairs in order. Newspaper needs to be issued. I think that mine.
No, this is not the public meeting.
Oh, I was kidding. I meant
We
for
get that
5 weeks, they're gonna do. Let's try to wrap it up.
So what are we
So-
doing on the
Things that we
8th?
need to move
The
on.
jail?
So
The jail, sheriff, jail,
We
IT.
have to have our public meeting, when are we setting that? It has to be
Yeah,
extended
have things ready.
Yeah, it has to be 3 weeks from the 21st.
Okay.
Okay.
So where you gonna have the rest of it?
That's one, two.
Does that push it?
That'd be the week of the
So I
well.
put the ad in the.
I could do that night
On the 23rd. That's having my first surgery.
So then doing the math, we could have your public hearing on the 12th of December.
Yeah.
On a Friday.
Okay.
Do we want to tentatively, I mean, if you want to schedule that, then.
Why not?
Okay, thank you. Did you finish
Then you
this
can post
and
it.
hear that?
Sorry, that it's
The public
you'll have
hearing
cataract
could be
surgery no matter when it
December
is.
12th.
Yeah, I know, I have two.
Okay.
both
Yeah.
eyes, so.
Public hearing December 12th. That's my birthday.
What time?
We can have a birthday cake afterwards. For Betty.
So no,
That's at 6 o'clock. Don't forget, yo-yo.
All right.
that's a yes.
Have a thing after Mary brought it in scheduling?
We'll have a wedding.
Brought it from agenda, after Mary brought it in scheduling.
Question?
What?
Did you have a question?
I did, yeah. I just, I missed how the 4.9 million was come up with for the health insurance.
We all did.
That's why we're revisiting it
Oh, we
on,
all did? Oh, okay, never mind.
on November 21st.
Okay, yep.
I like you putting a fine point on it though, Robin.
All right, so we're set. The next, we're gonna meet when? The next is the 8th.
From 9 to 1, no lunch.
No lunch.
Gonna try to get through IT, sheriff,
Jail,
jail.
sheriff. Was there another one?
On the night.
Sheriff, Dale and I.
And we'll see about it.
We'll be good on time. Yeah, well, I won't be here the 8th, but Kevin will do a great job
I'm
with
sure
the
he will.
presentation.
All right.
Sure.
With that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Well, thank you.
Oh, wait,
Second.
wait, no.
Any-
I had a question. Wait,
You know, that could.
guys.
Go ahead, Robin.
Well, my question was before whoever said motion to adjourn. So it was,
I show up on Monday.
when we talk the jail on the 8th, are we only talking about the items that are in the
Here, Robin.
2026 jail?
Can you guys, okay, Robin, can you repeat?
When we talk about the jail on the 8th, are we only talking about the lines for the jail that are in the actual corrections line, the 1050? So we're not talking about any of the other jail things, right?
Things, not the things that have been moved to other departments.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify. Thanks.
Anything else? All right, I think we already voted on adjournment.
We are adjourned, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.